Chapter 319. When such an insincere name came out from Lin Fan's mouth, for some reason, it made one feel helpless. Was he serious? He even used the name of the jewelry store. Shua. Zhang Rongming looked at Lin Fan. Senior's name didn't seem to be like that. If he remembered correctly, it definitely wasn't. But what was this Zhou Dafu? Was there anyone who could tell him whether or not Senior was lying to the girl? That didn't seem right. That is your name? The girl asked with a weird expression. She definitely didn't believe him. Is there a problem? Zhou Dafu. Rich and noble. There's no problem. Lin Fan was really calm, like it was the truth. The girl said, I am Huangli, Huangli. Lin Fan looked at her eyes. She didn't seem to have any emotions, but he could see that it was fake. I am Pineapple. Can't there be more sincerity between people? I am really Huangli. Why don't you believe me? The girl said. Lin Fan smiled. You are Huangli. Then is your little miss called Ming Chui Lu? As expected, the trust between people was just too low. He was slightly disappointed about that. Women, couldn't they be more honest? As for him saying that he was Zhou Dafu, there was a reason. The main reason was that he had too many enemies, so it wasn't good to say his real name. 9 Bug Gang's disappearance made him lose his target. He didn't have the energy to search for King Wudong. There were also some random sections. Oh my god, he really had many enemies. What nonsense are you saying? My little miss isn't Ming Chui Lu. However, Huangli rhymes. The girl said. Lin Fan shook his head. Rhymes? 2 orioles are singing. A row of egrets are flying in the sky. Forget it. With the current situation, you definitely can't communicate with me sincerely. I won't ask. The girl said, those 2 lines are so nice. I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable. Lin Fan didn't expect this maid to be so talkative. Your family's mistress is right beside you, but she hasn't said a single word. This family's teachings aren't strict enough. Haha, what's the point of learning? Those who are righteous are half loyal and half dog butchers. Those who are heartless are all scholars. Don't talk. Let's spend a night like this and go our separate ways tomorrow morning. He was trying to show off his literary talent, but who knew who said it? In any case, if he said it, then it was him who said it. Zhang Rongming didn't expect Senior to have such literary talent. He was impressed. He was really impressed. He was already starting to fill in the blanks. Senior must have been a scholar in the past, but because of the border defense, he gave up on literature and took up martial arts. Admiration welled up in his heart. He really wanted to be at the border with numerous experts to fight against the Alliance. At this moment, Yinxian is my name. The girl who had always been cold spoke out her name to Lin Fan. The sound was very pleasant. Miss. The young woman was surprised. She didn't expect that the young miss would tell him her name and even take the initiative to talk to him. Lin Fan smiled and said, this name sounds like a real name. What about you? The young girl said helplessly, ha. After Lin Fan heard this, he laughed out loud. I told you that your name is definitely fake. You're still trying to argue with me. Huangli, this name is just too vulgar. But your name isn't any better. Yaoer said. She was trying to tell him not to laugh at her. Lin Fan didn't know where the 2 of them came from, but for experts to follow and protect them, it was enough to show that their background wasn't simple. Zhou Dafu is just a nickname. As for my real name, forget it. One day in the future, you will know who I am. If I tell you now, it won't do any good for you. He had already thought about it. As long as he chased the Alliance away, no, not only would he chase them away, he would kill them back. Killing their way into the Alliance wasn't a place where they could come and go as they pleased. Other people didn't have the courage to do so, but Lin Fan did. Wasn't it just a head-on clash? What was the big deal? Yinxian looked at Lin Fan for a long while like she was thinking about something, but she wasn't sure. She wanted to ask, but it was hard for her to open her mouth. In the end, she chose not to ask. So mysterious. Yaoer felt that Lin Fan was too mysterious. If he didn't want to say, then so be it. She saw that Zhang Rongming was looking at her and stared at him in rage. Why are you looking at me? Zhang Rongming turned his head in embarrassment and didn't dare to reply. He also didn't dare to look at her. This feeling was really weird for Zhang Rongming. There were many beautiful female disciples in the sect, but he only treated them as sisters and didn't have any weird feelings towards them. Lin Fan started to talk nonsense because he wants to eat your sister. I don't have a sister. Yao denied it right away. He wanted to eat her sister? She didn't understand what he was saying at all. Helpless. What a naive little sister. She couldn't even understand such direct words. Forget it. Let's not joke anymore. But he didn't understand what Zhang Rongming wanted from girls. Yao did look good, but compared to the little miss beside her, the gap was huge. It was hard to describe, so it was best not to say in case he hurt her feelings. Zhang Rongming lowered his head and glanced at Senior. He felt like Senior's words were a little off. Wait, rage points plus 111. Where did the rage points come from? He glanced and noticed that Yun Xian's face was a little off. It was a little red, but more of it was rage. Pervert. Yun Xian's lips moved and gave out a soft sound. Normal people couldn't hear it, and even Lin Fan didn't understand. Lin Fan laughed in his heart. Who knew that the person who understood was this little miss? It seemed like people who received higher education knew more things. Where do you want to go? Lin Fan asked. The smile on his face was like a spring breeze to others, but in Yun Xian's eyes, it was a little perverted. Yao, wanted to reply, but Yun Xian interrupted her. Yun Xian shook her head. Her hair swayed, and she said softly, "He isn't a good person." Lin Fan heard those words and was a little unhappy. What did she mean? What did she mean by he wasn't a good person? It seemed like no matter where an outstanding man was, he would be slandered by others. Yao was confused. Little Miss meant that he wasn't a good person, but till now, she didn't see him do anything bad. But she would always listen to Little Miss's words. She turned her head and didn't bother about the two of them. Lin Fan smiled and didn't talk to them. They said that he wasn't a good person, but he wasn't a bootlicker. If they ignored him, he would bother them. He was willing to talk nonsense with them at night because he was lonely and wanted to find someone to relieve his boredom. Now, they didn't give him face at all. Then forget it. Zhang Rongming didn't sense the change. Maybe because he did counseling for a long time, he actually had the courage to talk to Yao. But after listening to Little Miss, Yao wouldn't bother about him. So, Zhang Rongming hit a wall. But don't underestimate Zhang Rongming, who had the potential of a bootlicker. After a short pause, he started to find topics to talk to Yao. Unfortunately, Yao looked at him unhappily and asked him to stop talking so much. It was so annoying. Zhang Rongming was a little disappointed and calmed down for a period of time. But in Lin Fan's eyes, he noticed that Zhang Rongming was moving his butt or stretching his back or acting like he was taking something. The only reason he did all of this was to get closer to Yao, without anyone noticing. Lin Fan shook his head and sighed to Zhang Rongming. Disappointment. He was really disappointed. He thought that he was a perfect kid with potential, but who knew that he was so tacky? Shwa shwa. Suddenly, the situation around wasn't right. There was something wrong with the surrounding situation. The originally quiet night was no longer quiet. Many people with no purpose had appeared. To Zhang Rongming and the others, they didn't know what was happening around. A person hidden in the darkness instantly appeared beside Yun Xian. Uncle Ling, what happened? Yun Xian frowned and asked. Why did Uncle Ling, who was hidden in the darkness, appear? Enemies are here. Uncle Ling was wary and then hollered. Since they are here, then just appear. Why do they have to be so sneaky? Using the moonlight. On the branches not far away, many people appeared. They appeared like ghosts and were silent. If not for their strength increasing, it would have been hard to notice them. These enemies didn't move and just stood quietly on the branches. Looking closely, they all covered their faces. Their eyes, which were filled with killing intent, were exposed. The surrounding temperature seemed to be affected by their aura and lower by a lot. Experts. Lin Fan felt that they were all experts, and none of them came to fish in troubled waters. The weakest was a god essence realm. In the distance, in the dark forest, a person walked out. He walked really slowly, like everything was under his control. That person maintained a certain distance from Lin Fan and the others and waved his hands. Kill. Shwa. The person standing on the branch instantly disappeared. Senior, should we help? Zhang Rongming asked. He didn't expect that he would face such a situation so soon after coming out. It was a little exciting. The key was that he wanted to show off in front of some people. The weakest is at God Essence Realm. If you want to help, you can go. Lin Fan said. He was speechless. Zhang Rongming was speechless. The weakest was at God Essence Realm. So what was the point of fighting? One move, and he didn't even say a word, and he might be instantly killed. Lin Fan shouted towards those people. Pay attention, I'm just passing by and have no conflicts with you. Pay attention when you fight and don't kill the wrong person. If not, I will kill all of you. Don't blame me for offending you. He made things clear to these people. It was late at night and the sky was dark. He hoped that they could open their eyes and not make a mistake. If they killed the wrong person, they would have to pay a price. P.S. Thank you, Crispy Cute Melon, K49 Freeman, Chi-Hi Chicho-chan, these 3 book friends. Chapter 320. Lin Fan brought Zhang Rongming up and retreated to the side. He noticed that Yao was looking at him like she wanted to ask for help. Don't look at me like that. We didn't even meet by chance. Till now, I don't even know where all of you came from, so I won't help you for no reason. If one said that Lin Fan was young and rash, that he would be heroic and help out, that was just a dream. He wasn't a fool. If she was a normal girl, naturally he would help. But thinking about it, he knew that it was impossible. Would a normal girl be chased by an expert? That was impossible. Before he understood the exact situation, he wouldn't attack. After all, it felt really bad to be used as a tool. Senior, are we really not going to help? Zhang Rongming was a little anxious, and his eyes locked onto the area ahead. That old man was really fierce. He blocked the enemy alone, and nothing happened at the moment. Don't tell me you really like that little girl? We only met for a few hours. Lin Fan asked. He really had nothing to say. Was he so loving? Zhang Rongming was a little embarrassed. Senior, don't say any more. I can understand how you feel. Lin Fan was helpless. He could understand him. Not everyone was like him who wouldn't be charmed by beauty. Zhang Rongming was someone who was deeply attracted to beauty. In just a few hours, he had a good impression of a girl. Men were really terrifying beings. Shua, there was movement around. I told you that I was just passing by, so don't offend me. Lin Fan felt movement beside him. A figure appeared and stabbed towards Lin Fan's back with a dagger in his hand. The masked man's killing intent boiled. But instantly, his pupils constricted. A hand reached out from who knows where. With a pata, Lin Fan's fingers covered his face. With a fling of his arm, he pinned him to the ground. He released his hand and stepped on the back of his head. How problematic. Lin Fan didn't bother about the person beneath his feet and continued to look at the situation. The old man was really strong, a domain realm expert. But the enemy fighting with him wasn't weak either. They were on the same level. It seems like my guess is correct. This girl isn't a normal person. Lin Fan noticed the problem from all the details. It was best if he didn't step into this mess. Rage points plus 999 rage points exploded out from the fellow beneath his feet. He struggled, but it was useless. His feet were really solid, so how could he be lifted off just like that? Sigh. It was a pity. He didn't expect that he would have to do it himself. Once upon a time, when his cousin was by his side, it was always his cousin who beat people up. He never had to worry about it. Who knew how cousin was doing in Marshall Path Mountain? I miss my cousin. All of a sudden, another man appeared beside Lin Fan. He opened up his fingers, revealing his sharp nails that shone with a dark glow. Evidently, he wanted to pierce through Lin Fan's chest. Bang! Rumble! Another enemy laid beneath his feet, silently providing rage points. He was thinking that when he returned, he would head to Marshall Path Mountain to see Cousin. He hadn't seen Cousin in a long time, and he missed him a lot. Zhang Rongming looked at Senior with his mouth agape. Senior, what are you thinking about? Was it really good to treat others so superficially? In his eyes, those attacking enemies were suppressed with a single slap as soon as they reached Senior's side. The efficiency was too fast. Also, didn't you just say that you don't need to care? He really wanted to ask Senior what was going on and whether or not he could tell him. But seeing that Senior was in deep thought like he was thinking about something, he didn't dare to ask. San, how long are you going to block me for? With your current situation, it is tough for you to block me. Do you want to block the people I brought? Your master should be, eh. When he looked at the situation in the distance, he was stunned. His eyeballs were about to pop out like he had seen a ghost. Damn, what was going on? He saw that the people he brought were all lying on the ground, stacked on top of one another. There were two people standing there. One of them was rubbing his last subordinate on the ground. Such a scene exceeded his expectations. It had even affected his movements. San, it seems like someone leaked news to you. Very good, I will return. The other party didn't say any nonsense. He didn't continue to tangle with San and just left quickly. With his strength, he was on the same level as San. The main reason was that he wanted his subordinates to capture Yunxian. San found it weird. He turned his head and was shocked. What was going on? What was going on? He didn't expect that these two unfamiliar young people would help him. He didn't expect that the young man would actually suppress all the enemies. She had said that it had nothing to do with them. She really thought that they would ignore it, but she didn't expect. Sure enough, Mrs. Charm was indescribable. Even outside, there would be countless people fighting to protect Mississippi Senior. Zhang Rongming didn't expect Senior to act so differently. He said that he wouldn't help, but who knew that he would be so amazing? As expected, he didn't mean what he said. His body was always honest. He shouted that he didn't want it, but his body cooperated. Lin Fan opened his hands. It really has nothing to do with me. I told them not to offend me, but they insisted. What can I do? He didn't understand. Were these people sick in the head? Did he look like someone who meddled in other people's business? Or was it a mistake to be handsome? Even guys would be envious when they saw him and then want to kill him. Thank you for your help. I really thought that you wouldn't help. Yaoer was grateful. She smiled like she really wanted to say that guys really didn't look like what they thought. Lin Fan said, I really didn't want to help you. They charged at me, so there was nothing I could do. And Yaoer nodded her head. Her expression was like she was saying that he was right. You didn't do it on purpose. They came to you, so you definitely didn't want to save them. What a perfunctory reply. Lin Fan sighed. What else could he say? Since things had already happened, there was nothing he could say. Of course. Fortunately, Dad didn't see this scene. Otherwise, with Dad's way of thinking, he would definitely think that I was interested in that girl. He wouldn't waste any time and would kidnap the girl, strip himself naked in the middle of the night, and throw him onto the girl's bed. Other people couldn't do such despicable actions, but his father definitely would. Thank you for your help. San didn't hide in the darkness. He walked over and cupped his fists in thanks. He had such strength at such a young age, so his background wasn't simple. Lin Fan looked at him. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Forget it. You can think whatever you want. He didn't want to say anything more. Helplessness wrapped around his heart. What else could he say? San wasn't angry. If this kid was so arrogant before, he would definitely be furious. But now, it seemed like he had the right to be arrogant. Moreover, it didn't make him feel annoyed. Instead, he felt like this was his true personality. There was a saying that was right. When one felt good looking at you, no matter what you did, it would be the best. If one felt bad looking at you, no matter what you did, it would be a form of annoyance. Little miss, this young man isn't easy to get close to. San said softly. Yunxian said, Uncle Ing, this place isn't safe. We should leave. Also, tell them to leave this place soon. Uncle Ing thought about it and nodded his head. That was indeed the case. He then packed up and the three of them left. When they left, Yunxian reminded Lin Fan that this place wasn't safe. It was best if they left at night in case they came back. Lin Fan took a look and continued to flip the fire. He didn't want to bother with these people. Since they got benefits, then leave. Did they really think that he wanted to save them? Those idiots were wrong and had to offend him. Yunxian remembered Lin Fan in her heart. It wasn't because he helped them, but because he was too arrogant. It was like he didn't care about them at all. What an annoying guy. Very quickly, they all left. What are you looking at? He has already left. I think you shouldn't head to the border and follow him. Who knows? You might be able to hug a beauty in the future. Lin Fan noticed that Rong Ming's eyes were about to pop out. His soul nearly flew away. Zhang Rongming coughed and shook his head. Senior, I definitely won't waver. It's just that everyone loves beauty. I'm just showing what a man should have. I don't have any other intentions. Love beauty? Then, why do you keep staring at the maid? Isn't the little miss prettier? Lin Fan asked. Zhang Rongming didn't even think about it and said, people know their place. Only someone as outstanding as Senior is worthy of her. I'm just worthy of her. Lin Fan smiled. I don't think you are. The meaning behind his words was a little huge. Senior, what are you saying? I am a genius disciple of the Giant Sword sect. Why do I feel like I am not even worthy of a maid when you say it? Illusion. This was definitely an illusion. His words were a little sad. Lin Fan hadn't interacted with Zhang Rongming for long, but he realized that this kid was courageous. However, he had a bad habit that young people didn't like. He was narcissistic and had wild thoughts. Forget it. There were just too few people like him at this age. Zhang Rongming looked at Senior and blinked. He felt like he had suffered a huge blow and his heart turned cold. In a certain valley. This valley was covered in miasma. There was no one around and no one dared to come here. There wasn't even a single beast. In the deep hole at the center of the valley, there were many poisonous bugs that lived in the miasma. These poisonous insects came in all shapes and sizes, but their ferocious appearance showed that these insects were extremely terrifying existences. Monster Emperor laid in the deep hole and gave off an aura that attracted these bugs. At that moment, a person appeared at the edge of the hole. When he saw the situation, he frowned. Monster Emperor. Chapter 321. Oh, so it is General Xue Du. Monster Emperor was really lazy. He squinted his eyes and teased, You dare to find me alone? Instantly, an extremely cold aura spread out and the bugs in the deep hole started to cry out. Killing intent seeped out from Monster Emperor's body and covered General Xue. General Xue Du's expression was really ugly. He hated people like Monster Emperor. It was obvious that he wasn't human anymore. Looking at these disgusting bugs, he wanted to take a super strong pesticide and ruthlessly exterminate these bugs. He wanted to spray these bugs to death, not leaving a single one alive. Monster Emperor, I didn't come to be your enemy. General Xue Du suppressed the rage in his heart. He came with orders from the Alliance headquarters. Monster Emperor grinned and laughed coldly. You didn't come to be my enemy? Why does it feel weird? Aren't we enemies? Where have we been friendly? General Xue Du didn't like to talk to Monster Emperor. He felt like he was talking to a lunatic. Moreover, this lunatic wasn't weak and his methods were bloody. Thus, when he came to find Monster Emperor, he rejected him. But who else could he send? 8-star generals weren't his match at all. General Xue Du wanted to scold him. He gave him face, but he didn't want it. Did he really think that just because he was strong that he could do whatever he wanted in front of the Alliance? Actually, his thoughts were right. Monster Emperor could indeed do whatever he wanted. He was also a lunatic who wasn't afraid of death. General Xue Du suppressed the rage in his heart, and his tone became much gentler. Monster Emperor, let's forget about the past. The Alliance headquarters has sent what we promised you, and I hope that you can continue to work with the Alliance. When he said these words, General Xue Du was really annoyed. Working with the Monster Emperor was like placing a bomb beside him. No one knew when a Monster Emperor would go crazy. Monster Emperor said solemnly, You have to give me what you promised me. Even if you don't, I can take it back with my own hands. Your Alliance knows its place. Otherwise, I would personally head to the Alliance and let you know what the outcome of lying to me is. General Xue Du frowned. Monster Emperor, don't be too greedy. The Alliance isn't a place where you can come and go as you please. The item is here, so whether or not you want to cooperate is up to you. At this moment, Marshal Xue Du threw out a long, thin tube. Monster Emperor took the tube and placed it in front of his eyes to take a closer look. There were many small black particles in the tube that looked like living beings. We can work together, but I need more things. Monster Emperor asked for more. He needed more of these glass tubes. General Xue Du was furious and said in a low voice, Monster Emperor, don't go overboard. These things are precious even in the Alliance. It is already not bad that you can get one, and you actually want more. Monster Emperor tossed the tube into his mouth and bit down. The tube broke, and numerous black granules surged into his body. Rumble. Instantly, Monster Emperor's body changed. His fats shook, and at the same time, black meridians appeared on the surface of his body. It was terrifying, like there were many earthworms under his skin. What a disgusting fellow. General Shwed didn't expect that Monster Emperor wouldn't care that there were people around and would just swallow the things he brought. Moreover, he even allowed him to see such disgusting scenes. He wanted to scold this fellow for being a pig, but he knew that he couldn't say such words in front of Monster Emperor, otherwise the outcome would be catastrophic. Not long later, Monster Emperor opened his eyes and slowly stood up. The fats on his body shook like waves in the ocean, one wave after another. Decent stuff, we can continue working together. But you make me really unhappy. Since you are here, then let me beat you up. Hong Long. Monster Emperor rose into the air and gave off a shocking aura as he smashed towards General Shwed. Monster Emperor. General Shwed was furious. But looking at Monster Emperor, he didn't look like he was joking. If he was careless, he might really die. Hee. Monster Emperor's laugh was really dark and sunken. What a waste that Mao Shintai didn't come with you. Hong Long. A battle exploded out. Great General Shwed even had the urge to die. What a beast. As expected, he was a moody fellow. He actually attacked him when he sent something over. Who knew how long passed? There was a loud explosion. General Shwed was pressed to the ground by Monster Emperor. A part of his body was stained with a weird true essence that was corroding his flesh. But to Monster Emperor, these were just small injuries. As long as he didn't die, it was just a small injury. Damn. General Shwed stood up slowly and looked at Monster Emperor in rage. But instantly, Monster Emperor appeared in front of him. With a pung, his fat palms smacked Shwed's body and sent him flying. Shwed, you are just SOSO. Last time, so many of you surrounded me and only injured me. I even managed to escape. Now that you have sent yourself to me, I have finally vented my anger. Now, we could talk about working together. Monster Emperor tore off the corroded flesh and tossed it to the side. His actions were overbearing and bloody. In the distance, Shwed wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth and climbed up slowly. Monster Emperor, what do you want? Monster Emperor looked at Shwed and laughed coldly. Scram, don't offend me in the future, otherwise I will swallow you up, huh? Rage flashed in General Shwed's eyes, but more than that, he was shocked. He realized that Monster Emperor had become stronger. Compared to the battle at Maigu City, he was much stronger. Go back and tell Mao Shuntai that we can work together, but I need more. Monster Emperor looked at Shwed and didn't have any thoughts of killing him. Maybe he really wanted to take revenge. Okay, Monster Emperor, I admit defeat today, but don't be too happy. General Shwed retreated into the distance and really wanted to kill Monster Emperor. Monster Emperor looked at that person who was slowly disappearing. He patted his stomach, and the fats on his stomach shook like waves. I feel much better. Senior, who do you think those people are? Zhang Rongming asked curiously. At the same time, he looked forward to flying. But to fly, one had to be at God Essence Realm. If he didn't have a fortuitous encounter, he would need a lot of time to reach that realm. Lin Fan said, I don't know, but they're definitely not normal people. It is best if we don't get involved with them. There are no benefits. Forget about that, maid. The two of you are from two different worlds. Zhang Rongming kept silent for a long while and then said, Senior, although I'm a top disciple of Giant Sword Sect, if I can meet her again, I will try. The sect's seniors won't mind me finding a maid as my wife. I was wondering why you were so confident. What I meant was that the two of you are from two different worlds. Based on what I guessed, the power she belongs to isn't something your Giant Sword Sect can compare to. Moreover, as a maid, she needs to be married off. Do you want to snatch her from an expert? Lin Fan shook his head. It was really hard to imagine why men were so confident now. Zhang Rongming. For some reason, he had an urge to cry. Senior's words were just too hurtful. Lin Fan felt that he had gone overboard and consoled him. Okay, don't be too sad. Work hard to raise your cultivation. Maybe in the future, you will be able to snatch her from that expert. Zhang Rongming said, Senior, you are definitely worthy of that little miss. If you and her... Lin Fan didn't give Zhang Rongming a chance to continue and interrupted. You are right, I'm definitely worthy, but is she worthy of me? Sometimes, a man has to be confident. He can't always feel whether or not he is worthy. He has to consider whether or not she is worthy of you. It makes so much sense that I'm left speechless. Lin Fan brought Zhang Rongming to fly in the air. The wind that blew over made Zhang Rongming more awake. But for some reason, his heart, which was originally very calm, suddenly felt a sharp pain. I reached 5-element realm at this age, so what kind of person do you think is worthy of me? Lin Fan asked. If others heard this, they would definitely say that he was acting cool again. But only Lin Fan knew that he wasn't acting cool. He didn't know what acting cool was and was just speaking the truth. Zhang Rongming looked at Lin Fan in a daze and didn't know how to reply. What kind of person was worthy of Senior? This question was just too deep. Forget it. He would just act like he didn't hear anything. A few days later, Lin Fan brought Zhang Rongming towards Laozhan City. He had been thinking about who saved him. But at that time, his consciousness had already dissipated and he couldn't sense it at all. If he knew, he really wanted to ask the other party why they sent him to such a faraway place. To return to Laozhan City would take such a long time. Martial Path Mountain. It was really cold. Huang Boren was filled with despair. As the Huang family young master, investing in Martial Path Mountain gave him much hope. Who knew that the Martial Path Mountain sect leader was gone? The deputy sect leader was gone too. Disciple Zhou Zhongmao was gone too. It felt like the sect leader and vice sect leader had taken the money and ran away, leaving behind a mess here. Gozi, why is the food getting worse and worse recently? Feng Poliu asked. He brought that brat to cultivate and had a good life. He was satisfied with such a carefree life. Gozi said, I have no choice. Young master's pet is too big and can't take it. Feng Poliu looked outside. There was already a small hut-sized 9-demon sitting on the ground. Its 9 heads swept the food in front of it, and its mouth was covered in grease. Actually, we can give it less food. Feng Poliu suggested. After all, it was a bug and didn't need to eat so well. Gozi shook his head. No, I promised young master that I would make it fat and white. I can't disappoint young master. Feng Poliu was thinking about something. Where did they go? Did they go to the border defense? Liang Yongqi studied the techniques that Zhang Tianshan left and made some progress. Apart from eating, he basically didn't see anyone else. Yuan Tianshu was much thinner and his eyes were a little dark. He sat in front of the table and picked up the cutlery and slowly placed it into his mouth. That was impossible. Where did they go? What was going on? Why couldn't he understand what they were planning? Senior brother, suddenly, a voice spread in from outside. Feng Poliu's palm shook, and he looked outside. There was a person standing there. With a thud, he stood up. Junior brother, you... P.S. Those who didn't leave a message, leave one. I will work hard to update and get more. Chapter 322. Feng Poliu had been thinking about whether or not Junior Brother had survived, but he felt that the chances were low. After all, the Sword Palace sword had attacked and was really strong. How could one block it so easily? Shortly after, he saw a woman and an old man standing beside his junior brother. Especially that old man. He gave Feng Poliu a terrifying feeling. From this, one could see that the girl standing in front of the old man wasn't simple. Senior brother, I didn't expect you to be here, Yin Jiu said, excitedly like he was filled with disbelief. Feng Poliu didn't hide anything. Junior brother, why are you here? Seeing that junior brother wasn't dead, he was at ease. Senior brother, let me introduce you, this is... Yin Jiu had many things to say, but thinking that it wasn't the right time, he could only keep it in his heart. However, the girl beside him wasn't simple. Before he finished, she interrupted him. Zhao family Zhao Qingma. Zhao Qingma said. Feng Poliu's expression changed. Apart from that Zhao family, how many other Zhao families could there be? Little Miss Zhao, I am Feng Poliu. Feng Poliu cupped his fists. Zhao Qingma said, I know you, Insect Valley's master killer trader. Don't worry, I never snitch on you. You can hide here, and I won't tell anyone. Feng Poliu's expression changed, but he didn't react much. Some things didn't need to be said. When she talked about killing his master, Yin Jiu struggled a little. He wanted to personally ask Senior Brother what had happened. He didn't believe that Senior Brother would do such a thing. At that moment, Zhao Qingma's eyes locked onto the giant nine demon. She felt that it was foreign, but she felt like it was a beast. After all, she had never seen it before. Yin Jiu saw nine demon right away. He knew what it was, but he didn't say it. It belonged to gang leader, and he brought it out from Insect Valley. Who knew that it would hatch and grow so big? Little miss, if I'm not wrong, this should be a beast from Insect Valley. The old man standing behind Zhao Qingma said. Beast? Zhao Qingma was interested. Nine demon, who was eating, seemed to have sensed it. It raised its 9 heads and stared at Zhao Qingma with its 18 eyes. It bared its teeth and gave out a terrifying sound. It was like it was warning her not to place her impure thoughts on it, that she was a bug that she couldn't get. Feng Poliu, I'm interested in this beast. Give me a price. Zhao Qingma said, This isn't mine. Poliu said. Zhao Qingma laughed. What a joke. As an Insect Valley disciple, apart from you, no one else knows what this is. Are you joking with me? This is my young master's pet. What do you want? Gozi blocked in front of 9 demon and looked at them warily. Although he who master, Jinot Poli not young, he master, he young Poli young master, he had master not. This? Zhao asked. Qingma. Feng. Feng not. The Zhao family was a colossus. Even some of the top sects might not be stronger than the Zhao family in terms of top combat power. At the same time, the Zhao family also possessed secrets that ordinary people did not know. That was where the dragon was. Zhao Qingma said, Let's not talk about that for now. I'm afraid it's impossible for me to fail because Zhao Qingma, have never failed when I set my eyes on something. Feng Poliu frowned. Actually, he didn't have any conflict with the Zhao family. However, the crux of the matter was that Lin Fan had a conflict with the Zhao family. He had beaten the Zhao family's young master to the ground and taken away the purple gold dragon essence pill. If the Zhao family found out who did it, it would be troublesome. He guessed that Zhao Qingma was here to investigate the purple gold dragon essence pill. Otherwise, there was no reason for the noble Miss Zhao to come to this remote and desolate place. Feng Poliu was really calm. Miss Zhao, this isn't something you could decide. Naturally, you aren't familiar with his young master, but I think everyone knows about his young master's father. If your father finds out that you want to forcefully buy his pet, Miss Zhao will fall out of favor. Hearing that, Zhao Qingma raised her finger and placed it on her lips, smiling. So powerful? I want to know who it is. Anyone who had the slightest self-awareness would know how terrifying the existence of the Zhao family was. She didn't believe that such a small Marshall Path mountain would have someone that the Zhao family didn't dare to offend. Even the old man behind her smiled like he was amused by Feng Poliu's words. To him, Feng Poliu was once the Insect Valley Grand Disciple. Although he was chased out at a young age, he should have seen a lot. Feng Poliu noticed the teasing smiles on their faces. He didn't want to say who it was, but he had no choice. You City Lin Wani, Feng Poliu said. Instantly, the smile on Zhao Qingma's face gradually disappeared, replaced by a hint of astonishment. The old man behind her was the same. How is that possible? Feng Poliu, you don't have to lie to keep this beast, right? Zhao Qingma said. Gozi, move aside. Feng Poliu reached out. Since that is the case, then Miss Zhao will snatch the beast and I will tell him the truth. However, I want to remind you that the Zhao family has many children and the competition is intense. If you offend someone that even the Zhao family old ancestor doesn't want to offend for no reason, then please think about the consequences. At that moment, Zhao Qingma stood on the spot and didn't move. She took in a deep breath. Are you so sure that I don't dare to move? Feng Poliu said, I won't say anything more. It all depends on what Miss Zhao thinks. Zhao Qingma was a little furious. She felt like Feng Poliu was threatening her. Although it was very vague, the literal meaning was very clear. Just as Zhao Qingma wanted to say something, the old man behind her coughed. "Little miss, this matter is important." The old man was a domineering person who felt that he had a firm footing. Now that he heard Lin Wani's name, he didn't dare to say anything else. Little miss was too young. Young people were rash. If she didn't have a way out, he was afraid that she would forcefully take the beast away. If that happened, she would offend someone she shouldn't offend, and that wouldn't do her any good. Zhao Qingma wasn't someone who didn't know what was good for her. Since she had a way out, then she would just go with it. She didn't want to be entangled with the beast. Feng Polio looked at junior brother. "Why are you with Miss Zhao?" Yin Jiu said, "Senior brother, I am now Miss Zhao's right-hand man. I will be working for her from now on." Feng Polio sighed. He didn't expect that his junior brother, who had a low position in Insect Valley, would work for someone else. Just thinking about it made him feel really bitter. "Senior brother, have you seen this person before?" Yin Jiu took out a portrait and showed it to Feng Polio. The person on the portrait was Lin Fan. Yin Jiu had seen him before. He was the young man who was with senior brother. At the same time, he was the target that Miss Zhao was looking for. Snatching the Zhao family purple gold dragon essence pill was a huge matter. But he didn't say anything and acted like he didn't know anything. Feng Polio noticed that junior brother's gaze was really calm. "I have never seen him before." Zhao Qingma said, "Let's head to Jiang City. Yin Jiu, you can chat with your senior brother. After this ends, come to Jiang City to find us." "Yes, 8th Mississippi," Yin Jiu replied. "Marshall Path Mountain Foot." "I know who he is," Zhao Qingma said. The old man found it weird. "Little miss, what do you mean?" "The one who took the purple gold dragon essence pill should be Lin Wani's son. His son is definitely called Lin Fan." When I showed the portrait to Yin Jiu, he actually said that he didn't recognize him. This person looked exactly like an enemy of Nine Bug Gang. As someone from Nine Bug Gang, how could he not know? Zhao Qingma said, "If you don't believe me, you can take the portrait and ask in Jiang City." Zhao Qingma could totally confirm who the person who took the purple gold dragon essence pill was. The old man praised, "Little miss is smart. I respect you, respect you." Marshall Path Mountain, within the room. "Eldest senior brother, can you tell me now what happened back then? How could you kill Master? There is definitely a problem here, right?" Yin Jiu asked. Feng Polio looked at junior brother. He got up and walked to the door. He raised his head and looked at the sky outside. "Junior brother, I killed Master." Yin Jiu sat there, and when he heard this, his hand that was holding the teacup stopped. "I don't believe you. I killed him," Feng Polio said. Suddenly, a dagger appeared in Yin Jiu's hand, and he pressed it against Feng Polio's waist. "Senior brother, do you know what you were saying?" Feng Polio didn't move at all. His voice was still calm. "I know I killed Master. If you want to take revenge from Master, you can kill me now." Yin Jiu's eyes turned red. The hand that held the dagger was trembling. The dagger stabbed into Feng Polio's back and sliced his skin. "Senior brother, let me ask you one last time. Tell me what happened. Why did you kill Master? As long as you tell me, I can forgive you." "Junior brother, there is no reason. I killed Master because I was greedy for Insect Valley's bug controlling technique." Feng Polio didn't want to say anything more. "Impossible. You are Master's top disciple. Other people can't learn bug controlling technique, but you can. I don't believe your reason." Yin Jiu's breathing became rushed, and he wanted to know the truth. "I know from Nine Bug Gang that Monster Emperor also cultivates bug controlling technique, but it is different from Insect Valley. You were shocked when you found out that I was in Nine Bug Gang. Tell me, is there a connection?" Feng Polio didn't say anything. "Master." Suddenly, a person ran over. It was the brat that Lin Fan and Feng Polio saved. Yin Jiu looked at her, and then at senior brother. He kept the dagger and walked out. "I'll come back to find you. Be careful of second senior brother and third senior brother." Chapter 323. "Senior, we are so far away from Laozan City. So how did you get here?" Zhang Rongming asked. Lin Fan squinted. This was a long story. Could he say that he was nearly beaten up by someone? That was simply impossible. Although he didn't like to act cool, he didn't like to put himself down. Lin Fan smiled. "This is a long story. Forget it. Let's not talk about it." You won't understand. Zhang Rongming wanted a diss. Senior, if you didn't tell me, how would I understand? But if you told me, maybe I would understand. Could you stop underestimating my intelligence? Forget it. Since that was the case, then he shouldn't ask. If Senior didn't want to say, then so be it. At that moment, Lin Fan was thinking about something. He was thinking about where Yin Xian and the others came from and where they went. Following in the footsteps of the mysterious person meant that he had a high chance of meeting good things that made one greedy. What a waste. He wasn't interested at that time, and now that he thought about it, it was a little too late. It was basically impossible to search for them. Haze. Damn. He felt like he had been living in regret for a long time. Let's not talk about all this. He was just thinking about the border situation. What a headache. If he was strong enough, he would have killed all of them. He wouldn't have given them a chance to behave so arrogantly. Another few days passed. Lin Fan didn't notice anything special along the way. Everything was really calm, and it was just a coincidence that he was able to bump into things. Many enemies were recorded in his little notebook. He remembered those top sections. Once he dealt with the alliance matter, he would turn around and deal with them. It was the same for those enemies. U City. Lin Wani was holding his extremely precious book, Spring Colors. This was a very good book. In a tense atmosphere, it could properly relax the brain, making the body and mind extremely happy. Not long later, Lin Wani placed it down and took out a puppet from the dimension. The puppet was a little old and had a sense of time. Haze, I wonder how Fanner is doing. To Lin Wani, the person he couldn't let go of was this unfilial kid. He did nothing every day and didn't even have a skill. It was just so worrisome. Forget it. Lin Wani didn't expect Lin Fan to cultivate to such a level. Since he didn't like to cultivate, then he wouldn't. It was good for him to live a normal life and not have to take on so many things. Master. Old Wu's voice came from outside the door. Lin Wani quickly put the things away and pushed the door open. What's wrong? Master, go ahead and take a look. Old Wu's expression was solemn. Very soon, when Lin Wani arrived, Zhu Shun and the others were already waiting there. When they saw Lin Wani walk over, they said anxiously, Master Lin, take a look. The alliance seems to be gathering people. Lin Wani's vision was even further than theirs. The alliance's energy was like a rainbow, lighting up half the sky. It was obvious that they had gathered many experts, and their auras were all gathered together, forming a shocking phenomenon. Master Lin, they want to chase us back to U City. Zhu Shun held a machete and stared furiously into the distance. He wanted to fight to the death with them. Drunk Fragrance Pavilion manager Zhang Sheng said, We can't retreat. We occupied their main camp in U City and restricted them such that they don't dare to send troops to attack. If we are forced back to U City, then all our hard work will be wasted. The situation at Maigu City will change drastically. No matter which line of defense it is, it will be a huge pressure. Lin Wani looked into the distance and said slowly, We can't retreat. Even if we die, we can't retreat. How many 9-star generals did they send over? What he cared about the most was how many 9-star generals they sent over. Only 9-star generals could give him pressure. Old Master, I'm not sure. Last time, they probably didn't expect Old Master to attack and kill so many of their 9-star generals. The Alliance headquarters probably sent many. Old Wu said, Old Master was just so fierce. He killed so many in one go and crushed the Alliance's morale. He took down the Alliance's U City main camp. 20 years ago, Old Master's name was like thunder in the ears of the Alliance, and he was a legend. Now, 20 years later, as long as the Alliance headquarters weren't fools, they would naturally know how terrifying Old Master was. But the Alliance headquarters was too confident. Even if they were worried about Old Master, they only sent a few 9-star generals. That wasn't even enough for Old Master to kill. Zhu Shun said, I can restrict one 9-star general. If I go all out, I can restrict 2 and drag 1 down with me. It won't be a loss. Zhang Sheng said, Me too. If I can draw the Alliance 9-star generals to my side and self-destruct, I won't dare to say that they will die, but I can definitely make them lose their ability to fight. To them, death was a normal thing. Other people struggled to survive, but they didn't fear anything. Okay, let's not talk about such heavy topics. If the Alliance wants to fight, then fight. We will kill as many as they send. As long as we fight to the end with a clear conscience, it is fine. Lin Wani said, Guys, if you are my formation, I can buff you, but I am worried about something. Zhang Tianshan looked at them and said, Do you remember the battle 20 years ago? The Alliance had a terrifying weapon that ripped open half the sky with one cannon. Even domain realm experts were turned to dust. Everyone was stunned and instantly recalled. That was indeed the case. That was a really terrifying weapon, and it could be said to be a punishment from the heavens. But they also knew that the Alliance paid a huge price to use that weapon. They didn't think that the Alliance didn't have that weapon anymore. Maybe they were just waiting for a chance. The Alliance headquarters paid a lot of attention to the U-City situation. Lin Wani and the others defending this place was really tough for the Alliance headquarters. It was like there was a blade hanging on their necks. If they wanted to show off, they had to push the U-City defense back. This was why the Alliance headquarters started to send experts over. Today, there were already 6 9-star generals over, and it wasn't over yet. The Alliance headquarters continued to send people over, and the number of experts would only increase. They felt like they wouldn't stop until they chased Lin Wani back. Why are my eyelids twitching so quickly? Lin Fan muttered and felt like something was about to happen. The left eye twitches for wealth, the right eye twitches for disaster. Senior, which eye are you twitching for? Zhang Rongming asked. Lin Fan said both eyes are twitching. Zhang Rongming sucked in a deep cold breath. That isn't good. Senior, you have to be careful in case something happens. Lin Fan didn't want to say anything. He had misjudged. He had really misjudged him. He didn't expect that after Zhang Rongming opened up, he wouldn't be a proper person. That made sense. If he was a proper person, he wouldn't fall for a girl in just a few hours. A few days later, Senior, is that Laozhan City? Zhang Rongming saw a city at the border. Lin Fan said, Yeah, that is Laozhan City. This journey was really far. Although it wasn't a month long, it took around 20 days. Zhang Rongming was really nervous and emotional. He was finally here. From today onwards, he would be fighting with all the experts here. Lin Fan looked below and noticed someone familiar. He waved his hand. Hu Luo, who was checking the situation around, raised his head when he heard that familiar voice. He saw the person who descended from the sky and was delighted. Brother Lin. Why is he back? Lung Sen looked at that person and felt helpless. This was someone who could suppress him so much that he couldn't breathe. Towards Lin Fan's return to Laozhan City, his heart wasn't willing to. He looked towards Lu Siki and felt like he was about to get jealous. What annoying guy. Hu Luo, how was the time I wasn't here? Lin Fan asked. Hu Luo smiled. It was okay. Those Alliance people attacked a few times, but they were all blocked. Yang Shun grabbed his black hat and smiled. Brother Lin, long time no see. Lin Fan replied and walked over to Lung San. Just as he was about to pat his shoulder, he realized that Lung San's left sleeve was empty. He was stunned for a moment. Your arm. Lu Siki's eyes turned red and tears flowed down. He was sliced off by the Alliance because he tried to save me. It is just one arm. It is nothing. Lung San said. He was still that vicious person who didn't speak much. Although Lung San didn't say how terrifying the process was, Lin Fan could sense it. He patted his shoulder. Good job, TSK. Lung San lifted his shoulder and pushed Lin Fan's hand away. It is just normal. Lin Fan didn't say anything more. He remembered it and would definitely take revenge. All right, let me introduce you to a new friend. Giant Sword Sect disciple Zhang Rongming, initial Grandmaster. He came to Laozhan City to help out. Hu Luo was shocked. So amazing, he was an initial Grandmaster at such a young age. But when he thought about Brother Lin's cultivation, he was really pale in comparison. But as long as one came to defend against the Alliance, then they were on the same side. Brother Zhang, I am Hu Luo. Hu Luo greeted. Yang Shun smiled. Yang Shun. Lu Siki. Lu Siki wiped away her tears. When she saw that Lung San didn't bother about him, she said, He is Lung San. He might not be willing to speak, but he is actually a good person. When Lung San heard this, his heart shuddered. Lu Siki actually said that he was a good person. His face turned red, but he acted like he was calm. However, deep down he was laughing. I am Zhang Rongming. You don't have to call me Brother Zhang. Just call me Little Zhang or Rongming. All of you are heroes at the border, and I can't take on that title. Zhang Rongming cupped his fists. He felt like his glorious life was here, and he was really excited. Lin Fan returned to the city with them and listened to Hu Luo describe the few attacks that happened recently. The Alliance's attacks became weaker. It seemed like they were probing. Lin Fan felt like there was something wrong with this. After returning to the city, he found Zhao Lishan and took out the herbs that old ancestor Wanshan gave him. These were really useful to Laozhan City. But Lin Fan also found out from Zhao Lishan that the Alliance's attacks became more intense. The Alliance sent out many 9-star generals, and it seemed like they wanted to take down Yu City. This shocked Lin Fan a little. Moreover, such frequent and intense attacks had lasted for many days. Lin Fan wanted to head back to Yu City right away. Whether or not he could turn the situation around wasn't important. But with his current strength, naturally, he would be of great help in Yu City. P.S. Thank you, Thunder Sand Eagle. 160,000 Chidian coins. Thank you, boss. Chapter 324. Zhao Lishan didn't know where Lin Fan had been during this period of time. But old ancestor Wanshan knew him, and he was a decent person. When the Alliance attacked, old ancestor Wanshan paid a huge price. The spirit herbs that he had brought back were not the icing on the cake, but the timely help that he had received. There were so many people in Laozhan City, and as long as the Alliance attacked, numerous people would be injured or die. With these elixirs, those who were seriously injured would be greatly beneficial to them, as they would be able to recover at a faster rate. You said that you want to return to Yu City? Zhao Lishan looked at Lin Fan. He had high hopes for this young man. If this young man was given enough time, he would definitely grow into someone who would give the Alliance a headache. Now, he wanted to head to Yu City. Zhao Lishan didn't understand. Yu City's situation wasn't good, and who knew what was wrong with the Alliance to gather so many experts to attack? It seemed like they wanted to chase Lin Wani out of the Alliance's territory and even wanted to destroy the Yu City defense. I want to head to Yu City. Lin Fan nodded his head without hesitation. When he heard that the Alliance had gathered more experts, he knew that no matter what, he had to return. Zhao Lishan said, with the current situation, if you return to Yu City, the danger you will face will be really high. I have high hopes for you. If you can bear with it for a period of time, your future achievements will be limitless. To Zhao Lishan, he really didn't want Lin Fan to head to more dangerous places. When he reached there, life and death would be hard to predict. Maybe he would be killed the moment he arrived. Thank you for your concern, Senior Zhao, but I have made up my mind, Lin Fan said firmly. He definitely wouldn't change his mind. He had really decided to return to Yu City. Now, he just wanted to tell Zhao Lishan. Zhao Lishan looked at Lin Fan, patted him on the shoulder, and sighed, If you've really made up your mind, I won't say anything more. Just be careful. Don't force yourself. If you die now, it'll be a huge loss for us. He had never seen such a talented person. If he hadn't been able to see his bone age, he wouldn't have dared to believe that someone at such a young age could reach such a cultivation. No, one could say that he had never seen such a person before. Senior Zhao, don't worry. I understand. I'm not someone who would let others chop my head off. Lin Fan felt like these people didn't understand him at all. Did he really think that he was a hot-blooded young man? No, all of you are wrong. Actually, not only am I hot-blooded, but I'm also arrogant. If the Alliance wants to kill me, it depends on the situation. Whether or not I have nowhere to retreat to. As long as there's a way out, even if it is a closed and dry crack, I can squeeze out of the ocean. Don't ask why he's so powerful. He was just that domineering. Zhao Lishan felt that he was getting old. He couldn't figure out the thoughts of young people these days. If he had met this young man earlier, he really wanted to properly groom him and do his best to groom him. Since that's the case, I won't say anything more. Sword God, have a safe journey. Zhao Lishan said. Lin Fan shuddered. He felt an inexplicable sense of panic towards the title of Sword God. Sword God? Sword Seed? Oh my God, I didn't feel that there was any problem at first, but now that I think about it, that sword palace heart technique was a little overbearing. To think that it would be called a sword seed. Scary, really scary. He left the shrewd mansion. When the passers-by saw Lin Fan, they would all smile and greet him. Who in Laozhan City didn't know the title of Sword God? That beautiful sword caused the Alliance to suffer huge losses. Sword God. Sword God, come back. Sword. Lin Fan smiled and waved his hands. He didn't want to say much more about such a situation, since that was the case. Then, he would let the title of Sword God remain in Laozhan City forever. He swore that when he returned to U City, he wouldn't use it anymore. If he did, then there would be no little G. Don't ask whether or not it was believable. He was the one who said it, and no one could change it. Sir God, when did you come back? At that moment, Old Shun walked over and waved at Lin Fan. Lin Fan saw that Old Shun's face was a little white and asked, Old Shun, what happened to you? Hi. Old Shun smiled. Nothing, those few Alliance dogs were a little cunning and actually sneak attacked me. I heard Uluo say that you were back, so I came to take a look. I brought many herbs from outside. You can take some to heal. Lin Fan said. He realized that there were much fewer people in the city than when he was here. It was obvious that the battle with the Alliance was too intense, and many people were sacrificed. Those damn fellows. Old Shin waved his hands. It is okay. It is just a small injury. Leave the herbs for those who are seriously injured. Don't waste them on me. They were all really strong people. If they didn't defend the border and went to any sect or family, they would be like gods. Especially in some mid-tier sects, they would be able to stand on the same level as the sect leader. Even if they went to the top sects, they would be top elders. Old Shun, I am prepared to return to U City to say hi to Hu Luo and the others. I won't talk to you anymore. If we have a chance, I will drink with you. Lin Fan said. Haha. Old Shun touched his mustache. Okay, no problem. I will wait for you to drink. But be careful when you head to U City. The situation there is worse than any other border city, and it has become a disaster area. If it wasn't for Lin Wani and the others, the city would have been wiped out. Out of all the border cities, Lin Wani was more like a leader. The Alliance wiped out Maigu City, so Lin Wani wiped out the Alliance's main camp in U City. He stepped right into Alliance territory like he wanted to see what the Alliance was thinking. If they wanted to fight head-on, then they would give it a try. Because of that, it dragged on for such a long time, and the Alliance didn't dare to do anything. But to the Alliance, they couldn't sit still and do nothing. If they just worked together, it would be too slow. Thus, the Alliance left many backup plans. This gathering of experts to wipe out U City was what they had the highest chance of succeeding. When he heard Old Shun's words, Lin Fan had a deeper understanding of his father. So, his father was so amazing. He even had the guts to say that even if he waited to die, with his father's strength, he would definitely be able to ensure his safety. Damn, how could he have such trash thoughts? Was that even something a human could think of? He shook his head and tossed aside all those impractical thoughts. Lin Fan said goodbye to Old Shun and came to Hu Luo's house. Zhang Rongming mingled with them. Maybe this was where Zhang Rongming could show off his skills. After Zhang Rongming entered the city, he looked at the people who passed by. They didn't dress well, and to him, they didn't look like experts. But he knew that each and every one of them was strong, emotional, pumped up. He had never thought that there would be a day where he would see so many experts. Moreover, many of them were famous in the past. It was just that they had hidden their names for decades, and their fame had gradually dissipated. But to some of the truly old experts, their names were still as resounding as thunder in their ears, unforgettable. Brother Lin, you want to head to U City? Hu Luo looked at Lin Fan in shock. He didn't expect that Brother Lin would actually want to head to U City, where the situation had become really dangerous. I came to say hi to all of you. I will head out soon. Lin Fan said. Hu Luo kept silent for a moment and then said, Brother Lin, be careful. He wanted to say that it was best if he didn't go, but he didn't say that. He stayed at the border to defend against the Alliance, so he could not go there just because it was dangerous. Senior, if you leave, then I... Zhang Rongming asked anxiously. He had just arrived and was unfamiliar with this place. Without Senior's guidance, he was a little afraid. Lin Fan said, "Just follow Huluo." Zhang Rongming's cultivation was decent, but he couldn't head to the battlefield. Any aura that leaked out could suppress him. He could only clean up the surrounding small battlefields like Huluo and the others. "Okay, then I will leave first. Don't worry, I won't die so easily." Lin Fan saw worry on their faces, like they were thinking that something would happen if he went there. Lin Fan could only say that. "You guys are really thinking too much. How could I possibly die?" Lin Fan rose into the air and slowly disappeared from their eyes. "Senior." Zhang Rongming looked at the disappearing back view. For some reason, it was like his father had left and he was going to face life alone. That feeling terrified him. Lin Fan left Laozhan City and headed into the distance. Marshall Path Mountain. Gozi's daily matters were really simple. He would clean up Marshall Path Mountain, buy vegetables, and cook for everyone and 9 Demon. These days were very leisurely. At that moment, Gozi slowly climbed up the stairs. That girl who came to Marshall Path Mountain last time didn't come anymore. She wasn't in the city, and who knew where she went? But that was good too. Young Master's pet wouldn't be coveted by others. He returned to the mountain to wash vegetables. Suddenly, Gozi felt a familiar feeling spread towards him. He turned his head and noticed that a person landed from above. Looking closely, wasn't that young Master? Quang Dang. The basket in his hand fell to the ground. The winter melon in the basket smashed onto his toes. So painful. But to Gozi, the pain wasn't much. "Young Master, you are finally back." Gozi was really excited. Young Master left for so long and was finally back. It was just so emotional. "Gozi, don't be so emotional. How long has it been?" Lin Fan said. However, he felt that Marshall Path Mountain was a little cold. Gozi was really emotional. He looked up and down. "Young Master, you have become thin. Without me by your side, you definitely didn't eat well." Lin Fan looked at his body. He didn't become thin. Instead, he became fatter. "Gozi, where's my cousin?" Lin Fan asked. Gozi said, "Young Master, Teacher Zhou left Marshall Path Mountain a long time ago. I don't know where he is now." Lin Fan was stunned. Cousin went out? With Cousin's intelligence, if he went out and met bad people, wouldn't he be cheated by them? Dong dong. Just at that moment, the ground shook. Lin Fan was in deep thought. Where did that sound come from? Or was it an earthquake? When he looked at the scenes in the distance, he exclaimed, "Damn!" An insect the size of a house strode on its thick legs, swung its 9 heads, and quickly ran over, as if it was saying. It was asking for a hug. Pung! Lin Fan slapped out in shock and sent the insect flying. He was so scared that his little heart was pounding. "Damn it! Where did that fellow come from?" "Young Master, that is your pet," Gozi said right away. Lin Fan was stunned. This was the 9-headed bug. Oh my god! He hadn't seen it for a while. So how did it become so big? Did it eat hormones? The 9-headed bug sat on the ground and shook its 9 heads. It was really dizzy and gave off a pitiful look. Chapter 325. Gozi, did you feed him pig feed? Why did he become so fat? Lin Fan recalled. He remembered that when he left, the 9-headed bug was only the size of a puppy. Damn, how did it turn from a water gun to a tank? The change was huge, and he nearly couldn't recognize it. Gozi scratched his head and said helplessly, "Young Master, I really didn't feed him pig feed. He eats the same as us, and his appetite is huge. The money you left was mostly eaten by him." Lin Fan looked at 9 Demon. With its size and 9 heads, normal people wouldn't be able to handle it. Why did you feed him so much? Just make him something simple. It seemed like Gozi thought that this was his pet, and he couldn't treat it badly, which was why he made it so good, causing it to become so fat. If 9 Demon could speak, it would definitely argue that it wasn't fat, but that it was growing from an infant stage to an adult stage. It was just that he had become stronger, not fatter. "Young Master, now that you are back, you shouldn't be leaving, right?" Gozi asked. Lin Fan retracted his gaze. "Yes, I will leave in a while." Gozi didn't expect Young Master to leave right after coming back. What happened? He felt like he was useless. Apart from cleaning and cooking, he had no other skills. In the past, he wanted to cultivate, but he realized that he wasn't suited for it and had no talent at all. "Young master, where are you going?" Go Z asked. Lin Fan said, "I just had something to do and will need some time to return. Martial Path Mountain will depend on all of you." "All right, tell young Master Huang that our sect has a lot of potential. Tell him not to worry. Once things are solved, I will develop the sect." He could only apologize to young Master Huang. The initial investment could only be wasted. He couldn't be anxious. There was nothing to be anxious about. Cough, cough. At that moment, Feng Poliu walked over from afar. When he saw Lin Fan, he coughed like he had something to say. "Beside the cliff." "You went to the border?" Feng Poliu asked. Actually, he didn't need to think much and felt that the kid definitely went there. "You can even see that?" Lin Fan looked at Feng Poliu with a weird expression. He didn't expect this fellow to guess correctly. Feng Poliu said, "I sense that the situation at the border is a little tense. Are you heading back to U City?" He realized that the aura that Lin Fan was giving off was already very mysterious. It made him feel as if he was someone from two different worlds. It was a very mysterious feeling. This could only mean that this kid's strength had become even more terrifying, to the point where it was impossible to guess. Terrifying. How long has it been? He remembered that when he first met this kid, his cultivation level was not very high. To him, this was unrealistic. Lin Fan looked at Feng Poliu and said, "I really didn't expect your guesses to be so accurate. But don't tell anyone. I do want to return to U City. The alliance there is too strong, and I am worried about my father. Also, with my current strength, I don't even need to attack. Just my aura alone can crush you. I am really strong now." At the start, Feng Poliu was slightly touched, as expected from a filial son. But right after that, he felt that something was wrong. What did he mean by crushing me with his aura? "Did I ask about your cultivation? I didn't even ask if it was good or not. You were the one who said it. Was there a need to stab me in the back when we were parting?" The good impression I had of him just now instantly vanished. Not even a speck of dust was left. Feng Poliu said, "I didn't say that it was dangerous. Actually, with your cultivation, it is not bad outside, but if you go to the border, it might not be enough. Although I didn't participate, based on what I know, there are many experts there, and they are really terrifying." "Kiki, you make it sound like I am not terrifying. Forget it. I don't want to show how strong I am in front of you. I feel like there's no need." Lin Fan wanted to let Feng Poliu see how strong he was, but forget it. He wasn't someone who liked to show off. What was the point of showing him? Would he even applaud him? Feng Poliu kept silent for a moment and said, "If the border is broken, I will bring them to the Imperial Dynasty." Lin Fan raised his hand. "Wait, why do I feel like you're saying that the U City border will definitely be broken?" "Feng Poliu, you are such a jinx. Just in case, who can say for sure?" Feng Poliu said. Although he didn't join in the battle, he paid attention to the border. The situation at U City was really intense, and it wasn't optimistic. Many battles had occurred, and the outcome wasn't decided yet. No one knew what the outcome would be. Lin Fan nodded his head. "Yeah, if it is really wiped out, remember to inform the Jiang City people to retreat." "Of course," Feng Poliu said. However, when he thought about Junior Brother, his expression dimmed. He didn't expect that Junior Brother would actually become the guest of the Zhao family 8th Mississippi. In the future, he would have to work for her. The key was that the battle between the younger generation of Zhao family was really intense, and Junior Brother might not be able to handle it. Lin Fan returned to Martial Path Mountain to take a look at the situation. It was still okay. Cousin left Martial Path Mountain, and he didn't know where he went. However, to him, although Cousin was a little dumb, he was decent and should be fine. "You aren't going to stay for a period of time?" Feng Poliu asked. Lin Fan waved his hands. "No, I'm staying now. Don't tell them that I'm going to U City." Feng Poliu said helplessly, "Go. Your life is more important. I will take care of Martial Path Mountain, but when will you give me my monthly salary? Where's the silver?" Lin Fan rose into the air and headed towards U City. Then a voice spread out. "No, you." Feng Poliu looked at the disappearing back view and wanted to scold. However, forget it. He looked into the distance and muttered, "Were the young people so fierce now?" He felt like he was old and couldn't keep up with the times. "Where's my young master?" Gozi ran over and asked. Phone Poli kept silent for a moment and then opened his arms. He left with the wind. When Gozi heard that, he wanted to smack Phone Poliu's head. What was he saying? "You are the one who left with the wind." Then, "Do you know where my young master went?" Gozi asked. Phone Poliu said, "I don't know." Gozi wasn't dumb and wouldn't believe Phone Poliu's words. Only a fool would believe him. However, he understood that young master didn't want Phone Poliu to tell him. When Yuan Tianchu knew that Lin Fan had returned, his heart jumped. He was thinking about what Lin Fan and Zhang Tianshan were thinking. He felt like the two of them were gods fighting and mortals suffered. He was the mortal. He snuck out and saw Lin Fan and Phone Poliu talking. Not long later, Lin Fan flew into the sky and left. What? Those scenes caused Yuan Tianchu's mouth to open wide. What was going on? Why did he leave right after coming back? His mind was in a mess. In the past, he could guess what Lin Fan and Zhang Tianshan were planning, but now he couldn't even guess the beginning. Everything was just too weird and mysterious. Liang Yongqi was really afraid of Yuan Tianchu. Although as the senior brother, he had the ability to manage second junior brother, he didn't dare to. He felt like Yuan Tianchu was becoming more and more abnormal. Sometimes when he got closer, he could hear Yuan Tianchu muttering to himself. How did this happen? Why? I don't understand. I really don't understand. After hearing those words, Liang Yongqi snuck away from Yuan Tianchu. He was really afraid that if he angered Yuan Tianchu, he would be slashed to death. If that really happened, he would die for no reason. Nine Demon didn't receive Master's love and care, so it was a little unhappy. Its 9 heads moved about in the air like it was sniffing something. Gozi stood at the side and was stunned. He was thinking about where young Master went. Suddenly, he cried out in surprise. Nine Demon bit his clothes with one of its heads and threw him onto its back. Then it ran down the mountain with large steps. Nine Demon, where are you going? Gozi hugged Nine Demon's neck and shouted in panic. However, Nine Demon didn't care and didn't stop. It just ran into the distance. Lin Fan left Martial Path Mountain and looked solemnly into the distance. "You city, I am back." Although he didn't reach peak realm, with his current strength, he would be able to shock his father. What kind of expression would his father have? He thought about it for a long while and couldn't think of a specific expression. However, he would definitely be shocked. He had a lot of cultivation techniques now. When he used all of them, he could even beat a yin-yang realm cultivator. After transforming into a worm, his overall quality would be greatly improved. Just thinking about that power made him feel a little swollen. The journey from Martial Path Mountain to U City would take half a month if one rode a horse. But with Lin Fan's current speed, it would only take a day. It might even be faster. There weren't many people left in U City, and they were all below God Essence realm. Their cultivation wasn't weak outside, but in U City, they could only stay here. As for the Alliance, they were all God Essence realm and above experts. Damn, these people are getting stronger and stronger. They want to break through U City. If not for Master Lin blocking, we wouldn't have lasted for so long. In U City, many people were discussing furiously. At the same time, they had to take care of the injured. These people were all sent back from the Alliance. They were injured in the war, and their injuries were all really heavy. "Let me go, I can still fight." A middle-aged man's chest was a bloody mess, and one could even smell the rotting smell of blood and flesh. The people beside him pressed him down. "Don't move, your injuries are too serious, otherwise you will die." When they saw those scenes, they were filled with rage and sadness. They really wanted to charge into the Alliance's land, but they were too weak and couldn't even fly. Even if they went, they wouldn't even be able to do anything. Suddenly, someone ran in from outside the city and exclaimed, "Not good. Young Master Lin is back." Those people were stunned like they didn't expect it. The middle-aged man who wanted to fight said, "Help us into the room and close the door. We can't let young Master Lin find out. Master Lin only has one son, so he can't be left here." Go to Lin Manor to inform Manager Chun to welcome us at the city gate. At that moment, those who were badly injured and could only rely on shouting to reduce the pain bit their weapons in their mouths. Their eyes opened wide, and their foreheads were covered in sweat. They bore with the pain and didn't make a sound. Lin Manor. When Manager Chun learned that young master was back, he was so shocked that he didn't know what to do. Old Wu and the others were all in Alliance territory, and there was no one. No, he definitely couldn't let young master find out. He had to send young master away. Manager Chun headed towards the city gate. He had to rush there before young master reached the city. If he really couldn't, he could only knock young master out and then send him away. Lin Fan landed from the sky. He walked on foot and looked at the not-so-majestic Yu city in the distance. I didn't expect that I would return so quickly. Lin Fan smiled, but he knew that after he returned, naturally, he would have to join the Alliance battle. That really made him nervous. City gate. Manager Chun sneakily looked on. When he saw young master, he became nervous. Old Wu wasn't here, and he was alone, so he really couldn't hold on. There were very few people on the streets, but many of them set up stalls to sell. Right as Lin Fan was prepared to enter the city, Manager Chun casually walked out. When he saw Lin Fan, he was shocked. "Young master, why are you back?" Lin Fan smiled. "Why? Are you surprised to see me?" Continue acting. I want to see how long you can act for. Do you really think that I didn't notice anything like last time? Young master, how can I not be surprised that you are back? Old master has been thinking about you every day. Manager Chin smiled and replied. He panicked more and more and didn't know what to do next. Lin Fan walked towards the city. Manager Chun followed beside him. He was so anxious that his palms started sweat. He shouted in his heart, What to do? Someone save me. Lin Fan looked at the situation in the city. There were much fewer people, and there weren't many stalls. Many shops were closed. Hey, it was already so obvious, and they still try to hide it. Okay, let's see what kind of god-grade acting skills they had to be able to bluff him until now. Manager Chun, what is the situation in the city? Why are there so few people? Where do they all go? Lin Fan asked curiously. He wanted to see how Manager Chun was going to make up a story. Manager Chun was a little stunned and quickly thought of something to say. Young master, there's a large-scale event in a neighboring city and many people went to watch. Oh, Lin Fan replied. He really didn't believe him. How could he say such words to coax a kid? It seemed like Lin Fan's intelligence was in the negatives in their hearts. Stall owner, your vegetables don't seem to be selling well. Lin Fan walked in front of a stall and looked at the vegetables on it. The stall owner was a middle-aged man. He wasn't that old, but half of the hair on his head had already gone bald. Young Master Lin, these vegetables really aren't selling well. The stall owner smiled. Below the stall, there was an injured person who bore with the pain and didn't dare to make a sound. As he was in a rush, he didn't have time to move it in and could only hide below. Lin Fan said, It definitely isn't selling well. Look at how rotten your vegetables are. What a scammer. The moment he said that, he continued to walk forwards. The stall owner lowered his head and saw that the vegetables were all withered. He instantly felt that things weren't right. Did Lin Fan notice anything from him? Manager Chun, why isn't the meat stall open? Lin Fan asked. Manager Chin's palms started to sweat more and more. Young master, he should have gone to visit his relatives. It has been a while. Lin Fan didn't say much and continued to walk forwards. When the people on the street saw Lin Fan, they would respectfully move aside. At the same time, they would give out respectful expressions. They seemed to remember when Lin Fan fought with the Yuan and Liang families in the past. Good acting skills. Lin Fan was impressed. As expected, they were amazing. If he hadn't spent time in other border cities, he might have been fooled by them. Manager Chun followed behind. Not only were his palms sweating, but even his forehead had beads of sweat. What should he do? If he returned to the manor, he would definitely be exposed. At that moment, Manager Chun looked to the side and noticed that everyone raised their hands and gestured at the back of their necks like they were telling him not to worry so much and just knock him out. Manager Chun shook his head. He didn't dare as he was afraid that he would hurt young master. The people around winked at him like they were telling him that if he didn't attack, once he returned to the Lin Manor, let's see what he would say. Would he be able to explain himself? He thought about it for a long while. Manager Chun made his decision. Since that was the case, he could only knock young master out. If not, there was nothing he could do. At that moment, Manager Chun nodded towards the crowd. He looked at young master who was walking in front of him and raised his hand. He didn't dare to use too much strength and just wanted to knock young master out. Shwa! Manager Chin was really quick. He waved his arm and a hand knife landed on the back of his neck. With a smacking sound, based on normal situations, young master would cry out and fall to the ground. If he helped him up, that would be perfect. However, the situation was a little off. His hand knife landed, but young master was actually perfectly fine. Lin Fan touched the back of his neck and turned around. He squinted his eyes. Manager Chun, what is the meaning of this? Young master, Manager Chun was so shocked that cold sweat dripped down like he had just bathed. His hands and feet felt cold. He didn't expect this to happen. He didn't use too much strength, but it wasn't light either. With young master's situation, how pung? Just as Lin Fan turned around, the expert who pretended to be a passerby raised his hand and landed on the back of Lin Fan's neck. This strength was much stronger than Manager Chen's. If it was a normal person, they would have fainted for at least a day. If the Alliance didn't attack and everyone was still hiding, then this guy was in charge of carrying goods. At that moment, the guy lowered his head and looked at his hand before raising his head to look at Lin Fan. His expression was a little complicated, like he was in a stunned state. That can't be right. The strength of his hand chop just now was not small. Lin Fan sucked in a deep breath. That's enough. You are still using hand knives. I really want to see what you were thinking. This is the biggest concession that the Alliance headquarters can give you. An Alliance 9-star general said. Nonsense. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Did the Alliance send such trash over? Lin Wani floated in the air and raged. The Alliance sent 12 9-star generals, and that was enough to show how much importance they placed on the U-City situation. Master Lin, the Alliance really takes care of us. Zhu Xin smiled. The machete in his hand was already shaking, and he couldn't take it anymore. Zhu Shun, who was known as the top blade of the Imperial dynasty, had terrifying strength. He had once sliced the sky, sliced the earth, and sliced the air. Lin Wani conquered him, and he stayed in U-City to wait for the Alliance. Just like that, he had been waiting for several decades. He could not wait any longer. Master Lin, Zhu Shun, and I will restrict the 4 9-star generals. Zhang Sheng said. As the manager of Drunk Fragrance Pavilion, he had done business for so many years. If the Alliance didn't come, he would have really thought that he was opening a restaurant. Old Wu said, Master, I can also restrain the 2 marshals. Lin Wani said, You can't. You can at most handle 1. 2 is too much for you. Zhang Sheng smiled. Brother Wu, listen to Master Lin. As long as you can hold one of them back, leave the rest to us. Ha, that's right. Brother Wu will split the remaining 7 marshals. The other old men standing on the other side laughed. U-City's combat strength was really strong. Zhu Shun, Zhang Sheng, and the others weren't the only ones who could fight against 9-star generals. What was the purpose of them concealing their identities until now? It was to defend against the Alliance 9-star generals. Of course, there might be a slight gap between them and the marshal, but fortunately, there were many of them. If one wasn't enough, then 2 would fight. Rumble, rumble. Suddenly, a dull sound came from afar. Lin Wani's expression was solemn. His target wasn't the 12 9-star generals, but the true experts sent by the Alliance headquarters. Right then, the muffled sound was like a clap of thunder that resounded in everyone's ears. A person slowly walked over. The Alliance members all opened up a path and respectfully welcomed the expert. Their eyes shone with respect. One of the strongest Alliance 9-star generals. Lin Wani looked at the person in the distance, and his breathing became rushed like he had met his mortal enemy. A beast-like roar came from his throat. Zhu Daoshan, at that moment. The U-City experts were stunned. It was obvious that Zhu Daoshan's name made them feel that something was off. Alliance 9-star general, one of the strongest in the Alliance. This person was much more famous in the Alliance than the other 9-star generals. Lin Wani, I came from the Alliance headquarters to find you. Zhu Daoxin's voice was thick, and when he opened his mouth, it felt like the space was being squeezed, forming shockwaves that spread out. Zhu Daoxin's body was really strong, and as he cultivated his body to a really high level, he maintained his middle-aged looks. Actually, he was much older than Lin Wani. At that moment, Zhu Daoxin floated up, and the 12 9-star generals opened up a path. Although they were all 9-star generals, in terms of status and identity, they were much weaker than Zhu Daoxin. Lin Wani, the Alliance headquarters really values you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been sent here. You are a genius who has grown up. Unfortunately, you are so stubborn, defending this place that has no spirituality at all. You are just so stupid. Zhu Daoxin squinted his eyes and smiled. Then, he looked at the ground not far away, feeling slightly displeased. Gang Xiong, what are you doing? Scram out. How long? The ground shook. The Alliance's strongest land 9-star general came out from underground. Although he was annoyed by Zhu Daoxin's words, he didn't dare to go against him. Tell me, what are you doing hiding underground? Zhu Daoxin asked. Gang Xiong felt like he had lost all his face. This fellow didn't give him any face at all. He was hiding underground, so couldn't he tell what he was doing? Nothing. Gang Xiong said. Zhu Daoxin took a look, Scram. No one is allowed to interfere in my battle with Lin Wani. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Even if Gang Xiong was really unwilling, he could only back off. Lin Wani's eyes locked on his Zhu Daoxin. 12 9-star generals along with Gang Xiong. A total of 13 9-star generals wouldn't give him any pressure at all. But now that Zhu Daoxin appeared, he had to go all out. Zhu Shun, be careful. Gang Xiong isn't weak. Lin Wani reminded. Zhu Shun nodded his head. Understood, we will restrict them. Master Lin, be careful. Lin Wani looked at him. We will take revenge. I have waited many years for you. Lin Fan came to the border, and as expected, he saw a crack there. His heart was beating really quickly. He was about to see his father, and he was really nervous. When he stepped into the Alliance territory, he felt a terrifying might enveloping the sky, suppressing him to the point where he found it hard to breathe. He raised his head and looked out. He was filled with shock. In the distance, the sky flickered with resplendent light. Everywhere, the space was torn apart like a dense spider web. Father. Lin Fan looked into the distance. That was the person he was looking for. At this moment, his father was fighting with someone else. That area belonged to them, and no one could get close. Many shocking phenomenons that he had never seen before exploded in that space. The void was like a piece of paper. The terrifying dimension current was like a toy that was forcefully taken out and used as a weapon. That area had been flipped. Even if Lin Fan entered, he would be instantly ripped into pieces. The U-City experts and the Alliance clashed. Corpses fell from the sky like dumplings. There were also fireworks that exploded in the sky, forming terrifying shockwaves. This was a chaotic battle, a terrifying chaotic battle. I can't wait like this. I have to help. Lin Fan kept silent for a moment and clenched his fists. What should he do? He had the technique that covered the widest area. He could only refresh. Dragon Elephant Sword Technique, 10,000 Sword Technique, and Great Sumeru Sword Technique didn't reach the returning to true realm. He was relying on the refresh to raise these 3 sword techniques to the highest realm. 1. The sword seed in his body trembled, and 3 types of extremely strong sword wei qi swept over, wrapping around the sword seed and constantly strengthening it. It's just as I thought. As for the person who said that there was no little GG when using the sword, it didn't matter. He wouldn't lose his life anyway. Lin Fan raised his hand and touched his stomach. Sword seed. Shua. A sword seed floated out and floated behind him. He wasn't in a rush to head out, as this wasn't enough. He needed to become stronger and use his unlimited true essence to create the strongest sword seed. Shua. Shua. At that moment, many sword seeds floated behind Lin Fan's back. Because the sword intent around him was too terrifying, it formed a sword intent storm. The number of sword seeds went from dozens to hundreds, then to thousands, then to tens of thousands. To normal people, one sword seed was the last method to die together with the enemy. But to Lin Fan, this was just one of the most destructive moves. At that moment, the sword seeds floating behind Lin Fan reached a terrifying number. The ground was ripped apart by the sharp sword intent. Even the space couldn't take it and started to crack. He activated his cultivation technique and infused all his special internal strength into each sword seed. Different colored lights flowed about. All sorts of terrifying auras wrapped around him. If someone saw this, they would definitely exclaim, "I want to report someone for being so shameless." How long? Lin Wani and Zhu Daoshan were on the same level. It was really intense, and both of them were slightly injured. Suddenly, a familiar voice spread into their ears. "Father, I am back." Lin Wani's expression changed, and he turned around like he had seen a ghost. When he saw that person, he was emotional, but then he raged, "Unfilial kid, why did you come back?" When he heard that familiar title, Lin Fan was about to cry. It had been a long time since someone called him an unfilial kid. "Father, I am back to help you fight against the Alliance." Lin Fan shouted, "Young master." Old Wu turned around, and his expression changed. Why did young master return at such a time? Lin Wani was so furious that he nearly slapped the unfilial kid away. "You came back. Unfilial kid, run." The moment he said that, he saw people from the Alliance attack Lin Fan. Lin Wani was so shocked that his face turned ashen white. But suddenly, the area shook. Ah! Lin Fan opened his arms, and green veins popped up on his forehead like it was really tough for him to do so. Damn! There were too many sword seeds, and the pressure was huge. He was about to die from it. Shio! A sky-covering sword seeds flew over from the distance. They were like a Milky Way waterfall that hung upside down in the sky. Terrifying sword intent roared and slashed. It had already condensed into physical form. The Alliance members who were attacking Lin Fan stopped in their tracks. Their eyes were stunned like they had seen a ghost. "Father, I am here to help. Go." Lin Fan pressed down with his palms. It contained the strongest move that he had learned in his life. No, not just one, but many. At that moment, be it the people from U-City or the Alliance, they were all shocked by the scenes in front of them. Shio! Shio! The sword seeds moved really quickly. In the blink of an eye, they slashed through the air and pressed down on the battlefield. Young master? Old Wu's eyes opened wide. In his heart, the young master was someone who did nothing and waited to die. But the young master who appeared terrified him so much that he nearly fell to the ground and exclaimed that it was impossible. Very quickly, a strong wind blew over and blew onto everyone's body, making them feel really uncomfortable. This was a sword intent storm formed when sword intent was condensed to a certain level. What a terrifying sword intent. When the Alliance 9-star generals sensed the sword intent, they just frowned. But very quickly, they thought about something terrifying. As 9-star generals, these small tricks weren't worth mentioning. But other people might not be able to block it. "Retreat! All of you retreat!" Some 9-star generals hollered in rage. He already understood how terrifying this attack was. But the moment he opened his mouth, countless sword seeds appeared beside him and exploded with a loud explosion. Damn, that 9-star general was fine, but the explosion totally infuriated him. Sensing the strength of the explosion, he was shocked and turned his head. He realized that numerous sword seeds had entered the battlefield. Those sword seeds seemed to be controlled and sped past the U-City people. Their target was the Alliance. How is that possible? To be able to control so many sword intents, how thick was his true essence? "General Zhu, the sword intent is really strong. They won't be able to block it." Some 9-star generals hollered. Zhu Daoshan frowned. He raised his hand and slashed down. Instantly, a black light seemed to split open the sky and slash between the Alliance and U-City experts. Explode. Lin Fan didn't expect the Alliance 9-star general to be so strong. He waved his hand and slashed open the dimension. But before it formed, self-destruction was still useful. How long? All the sword seeds entered the dimension and exploded. A terrifying shockwave spread out. The dimension that wasn't fully formed shattered like a mirror. Numerous shards struck towards the Alliance members. There were screams. P.S. 9,200 words. Chapter 326. The shattered dimension turned into shrapnel that spun and flew backwards, slicing apart the bodies of the Alliance experts. Some were lucky, and only their skin was sliced open. On the other hand, some experts were not so lucky. The void shrapnel stabbed into their bodies and tore open huge wounds. Fresh blood flowed out. There was no need to talk about the God Essence realm and void realm experts. Their cultivation was really strong outside, but at this moment they were like cannon fodder and had no way to fight back at all. Countless experts of these two realms were killed or injured. Although it was just a dimension shrapnel, when the sword seed exploded, the impact was really terrifying. It caused the dimension shrapnel to scatter really quickly and caused irreparable damage to them. As for the 5-element realm experts, many of them were injured. Some were unlucky, and their heads were sliced open by the dimension shrapnel. The U-City experts looked at those scenes with their mouths agape. Suddenly, they hollered excitedly. Amazing, really amazing. Young Master Lin is so amazing. I actually didn't notice it in the past. He hit it so deeply. Ha ha ha. To those sons of Beaster's cheese, they probably didn't expect things to turn out like this. The U-City experts felt really good. It felt like celestial energy entered their bodies and all their pores opened up. When the Alliance 9-star generals saw the situation, they were instantly furious. They didn't expect that the Alliance would suffer such heavy losses. They really deserved to die. Shua. The Alliance 9-star generals locked onto Lin Fan. Their deep and furious gazes seemed like even the space around couldn't take it. The praises from the U-City experts made Lin Fan feel a little uneasy. He didn't like a show-off, and what he did just now was just the basics. Suddenly, his body shook, and he felt numerous gazes lock onto him. He followed their gazes. The Alliance 9-star generals had vicious expressions on their faces. Their gazes seemed like they wanted to swallow him up. Waves of frightening, killing intent surged, interweaving into a huge net that enveloped the heavens and earth. The Alliance is just so strong. With my father here, who dares to hurt me? Lin Fan didn't hesitate and ran towards the back. What happened just now was too arrogant and caused everyone to be furious. His rage points were like a rocket, swiftly increasing. He knew himself. Whether that move just now was cool or not, there was no need to say. It was definitely cool, but what was the use of being cool? He didn't see that the 9-star generals were perfectly fine. There were even many 5-element realm people who survived. If it wasn't for that fellow who could form dimensions with a wave of his arm, the Alliance's casualties would be terrifying. Now, he knew that he had incurred the wrath of the masses. If he continued to jump on the table, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lin Wani looked at his monkey-like, unfilial son. All of a sudden, he felt really complicated and didn't know what to say. But now he knew what to do. Clang! Lin Wani stabbed the halberd into the air and numerous cracks appeared. He hollered, "Who dares to harm my son?" His domineering aura was unparalleled. Protect the young master. Old Wu disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was blocking the way. As long as a 9-star general dared to come over, he would be able to stop them. Zhu Shun and the others did the same and locked down all the paths. They felt that U-City had obtained a huge victory in this battle. Although they didn't kill any Alliance 9-star generals, they dealt heavy losses to the Alliance. Numerous pillars were wiped out. To the Alliance, it wouldn't be so easy for them to attack U-City again. Young master, when did you become so amazing? Old Wu turned his head and asked. Till now, he was still really lost, like he was dreaming. Lin Fan said calmly, I've always been so amazing. It's just that all of you didn't notice. Old Wu had nothing to say. He really wanted to say that young master was joking with him. Didn't notice? He was bragging again. He wanted to see old master's expression, but old master's expression was the same as before, and there was no change at all. He was thinking in his heart. Young master was already so amazing, so why wasn't old master excited at all? Zhu Daoxuan's expression was really ugly, and one could even say that he was suppressing himself. Good. This is really good. Like father, like son. Lin Wani, it is really good that you have such a son. He actually brought so much trouble to the alliance. But don't worry, the alliance will let you send off your son. Bullsh asterisk T. Listening to the first half of your words, I thought that you were still a human and spoke like a human. But are the latter half of your words still human? Even the dog knows who gave it food and will wag its tail and whimper. Lin Fan scolded Zhu Daoxuan. He didn't care whether or not Zhu Daoxuan was one of the strongest 9-star generals in the alliance. To him, all of this wasn't important at all. Anyway, since he was back in Yu City, he felt really safe. Not only could he kill enemies, but he could also scold them without any fear. If you are unhappy, then come and hit me. Rage points flew towards him. Zhu Daoxuan looked at Lin Fan coldly. Kid, don't be arrogant. In my eyes, you are just a pitiful ant. Cool. So what if I am an ant? If you have balls, then come and hit me. If you have balls, then come at me. Don't talk about ants. If you don't dare to touch me, then aren't you worse than an ant? Lin Fan didn't fear anything. He didn't care about life and death, and just scolded him if he was unhappy. Lin Fan was really strong. But so what? Zhu Daoxuan was one of the strongest 9-star generals in the alliance, and no one dared to say such words to him. Even when he faced Lin Wani, he treated him with a solemn expression. But now a kid actually insulted him like that. It infuriated him. Damn, Zhu Daoxuan couldn't take it anymore. His voice was dark and terrifying. Lin Fan was stunned for a moment, and then he reacted, damn. Instantly, the entire place was silent. Zhu Daoxuan and Lin Wani's son scolded one another. This was something that no one expected. They opened their mouths and looked on with their mouths agape. It was obvious that they didn't expect that one of the strongest 9-star generals in the alliance, Zhu Daoxuan, would actually curse because of young Master Lin. What made them respect him more was that young Master Lin wasn't afraid at all. He just scolded Zhu Daoxuan without any fear at all. Old Wu said softly, Young Master, be low profile, be low profile. Lin Fan said, Old Wu, what is there to be low profile about? Look at him, he is so dumb and dumb. Only he is an Alliance 9-star general. In my opinion, the Alliance doesn't have many people like him. Rage points plus 999. Rage points plus 999. Take a good look at the domineering rage points. He relied on this to earn a living. When he was in Laozhan City, he didn't dare to be too arrogant. After all, there weren't many people to protect him. But it was different now. He was in his own territory, so how could he be afraid of them? Old Wu was speechless, and he was in a state where he doubted his life. Ha! Zhu Shun held the machete and laughed out loud. Young Master Lin is right. One of the strongest 9-star generals in the Alliance, Zhu Daoxuan, is indeed a dumb person. Shua! Zhu Shun's words infuriated the Alliance members. Lin Fan was a little unhappy. What did he want to do? He was here to attract rage points, so why did he interfere? I remember that you're not a pig killer? Lin Fan shouted. Zhu Shun said, Young Master Lin, you have a good memory. I'm a pig killer, and my secondary job is to kill the Alliance. Lin Wani didn't move at all. The fighting intent in his body didn't stop, but a smile appeared on his face. Zhu Daoxuan saw that smile, and he was so furious that he nearly exploded on the spot. He was too careless. He let Lin Wani's son use such a strong move to deal a fatal blow to the Alliance. But even then, the Alliance wouldn't retreat. General Gang Xiong walked beside Zhu Daoxuan and said, We have suffered heavy losses. Although no 9-star generals have been sacrificed, we are being held back by them. Even if we fight to the end, the Alliance will be the ones who will have to sacrifice the most. His suggestion was to retreat. Are you ordering me? Zhu Daoxuan looked at Gang Xiong. The strong could do whatever they wanted. Even if Gang Xiong was called the strongest nine-star general on land, it was useless. Damn it. Gang Xiong really wanted to press Zhu Daosh into the ground and hammer him. He even wanted to holler, "Do you really have no brains at all?" Didn't he look at the situation? If they fought head-on as nine-star generals, they might be fine, but it was hard to say for the others. No, Gang Xiong replied. Naturally, he didn't dare to fight Zhu Daoshan. Zhu Daoshan was stronger than him, and he was a really domineering person. Scoff, it is best if you don't, Zhu Daoshan said coldly. Gang Xiong didn't want to say anything more. What happened next would depend on what Zhu Daoshan thought. If they continued to fight, then they would. But now that the core strength of the alliance was at a disadvantage, the final outcome might be that apart from nine-star generals, everyone else would have to die here. Retreat. Zhu Daoshan raised his hand and told the alliance members to retreat. Even if he was furious, he didn't lose his rationality. The current situation wasn't good, and if they continued to fight with the U-City experts, the outcome would be bad. Gang Xiong heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, they retreated and not fought head-on. Otherwise, he really wanted to slice open Zhu Daoshan's head and see whether or not it was filled with mush. Lin Wani, don't be too gleeful. The moment you stepped into the Alliance land, your outcome was decided. Zhu Daoshan said coldly. Scoff, if you have balls, then come. Lin Wani replied. The fighting intent in his eyes didn't decrease at all. Lin Fan definitely couldn't see the Alliance leave. Why are all of you so cowardly? Didn't we just lose some people? If you have balls, then continue. Why do you want to run? Lin Fan shouted. Old Wu pulled his young master. Shush, young master, softer. The current outcome is for the best. There is no need to fight to the death with the Alliance. Lin Fan still wanted to say something, but it was as if he had understood something. He nodded his head and agreed with Old Wu's words. Alliance trash, listen up. I will let you off today, but if you dare to come again, I will break your limbs. Lin Fan hollered. The battle didn't continue, but he definitely couldn't stop talking. He scolded them. He gained a wave of rage points. Chapter 327. The Alliance 9-star generals remembered Lin Fan in their hearts. Lin Wani's son. Good, this was really good. A new target had appeared. As long as they captured him, they would be able to restrict Lin Wani and even make him submit. Tisk Alliance. Lin Fan glanced in disdain. These Alliance people were really cowards. They knew that the situation wasn't right and retreated. They really had no courage at all. At that moment, Lin Fan's body shook. He felt a father's love spread from behind him. He had left U-City for so long, and now that he was back, he really missed it. You unfilial kid, why did you come back? Lin Wani's expression was really strict, and his tone was filled with rage. It was different from what he thought. Father should have been too emotional when he saw him return, or should have been so excited that his face changed when he saw that his cultivation had risen to such a realm. What a waste. It was different from the scenes that appeared in his mind. Father's unfilial kid pulled him back to reality. He knew that it was impossible. Father, I just came back. Lin Fan sighed. He turned around and looked at his father, who he hadn't seen in a long time. Maybe because of the pressure from the long battle. He felt that his father was much more haggard than before. Lin Wani said, Who told you to come back? What can you do? What is the use? What can you help with? He asked 4 questions at once. This made Lin Fan feel like his father was a little too much. He definitely came back by himself. He definitely came back to fight the Alliance. As for the last 2 questions, they were a little repetitive. Wasn't it obvious that he was useful? The Alliance was chased away by him. Lin Fan said, Father, you saw it too. I'm quite useful. These words were absolutely true. Lin Fan had always been quite useful. Otherwise, who knew how this battle would have been resolved? But this was also because he caught them off guard and the Alliance 9-star generals didn't notice. Otherwise, with their strength, they could have opened up a dimension and absorbed all of Lin Fan's attacks. What a waste. It was too late to say anything now. Scoff. Lin Wani scoffed. He was still angry. I told you to leave U-City because I didn't want you to be dragged into this. Now that you are back, the Alliance will remember you. Don't think about having a peaceful life. Lin Fan said, if it isn't safe, then so be it. With such a thing happening, as long as one has a bit of guts, they wouldn't want to live. You can be at the border, so why can't I? You still. Lin Wani was about to explode from Lin Fan's actions. Just as he was about to scold him, Old Wu rushed up to calm him down. Old Master, young Master is already back. If we chase him away and he bumps into the Alliance, then what should we do? Lin Fan smiled and secretly smiled at Old Wu. As expected, Elder Wu was still the one who spoke up for him. Lin Wani's face was cold, and he didn't give Lin Fan a good look. I will deal with you later. Father headed forwards to take a look and ask about the casualties. Due to Lin Fan's arrival, there weren't many U City experts who died, but there were many who fought too intensely with the Alliance and suffered heavy injuries. This will be a tough battle. Lin Fan looked around and understood that U City's defense line was probably the one that was going to face the toughest out of all of them. However, Lin Fan's return shocked many people. They could be said to have watched Lin Fan grow up, so they knew what he was like normally. He was just a person who ate and waited to die. But the current situation shocked them so much that their eyeballs almost popped out. Damn, this change was just too huge. If he hadn't personally witnessed it, he wouldn't have dared to believe it. Young Master, what have you been through during this period of time? Old Wu asked with concern. The change was huge. It wasn't that young Master had changed, but that his strength had changed too much. Lin Fan said, I have been through a lot, and it isn't something that could be explained in a short while. Old Wu looked at young Master and felt heart-pained. During this period of time, young Master must have suffered a lot outside. Lin Fan thought about it. Did he suffer outside? He didn't seem to have suffered much. No, he had suffered a lot. He had been wanted for a long time, and he had almost been beaten to death. If he wasn't lucky, he wouldn't have been able to return. It is okay, Lin Fan said. I found out about the situation in your city from somewhere else, so I rushed back. Now that I am back, I don't want to leave. Old Wu, you have to help me, otherwise my father will chase me away. Old Wu sighed. Young Master, actually I want you to leave. We are fine here, but since young Master has asked me, how can I not agree? Old Master doesn't want you to stay here not because he doesn't like you, but because he is afraid that something might happen to you. But it is good that young Master is back. I am not afraid. Kiki. Old Wu didn't say what it was like. He felt that it wasn't good to say it. He knew what Old Master wanted to do. At the crucial moment, Old Master would stop at nothing and even sacrifice his life to kill someone. But young Master's return could calm Old Master down. There were gains and losses. There were pros and cons. Lin Fan nodded his head and understood his father's thoughts. However, he had already decided to fight to the death with the Alliance in U City. At the same time, he would gain some rage points to raise his cultivation. As long as he raised his cultivation to the peak, he would have enough capital to challenge all enemies. Defense Alliance main camp. This place had been taken down by Lin Wani. The reason why there were so few people in U City was because most of them had moved here and could fight with the Alliance at any moment. At that moment within the room, you unfilial kid, why did you come back? Lin Wani asked. Lin Fan said, I came back to fight the Alliance. Lin Wani smiled. His smile made it seem like he was looking down on him. Fight? Just you? How strong are you? Can you beat an Alliance 9-star general? Father, you don't need to care about whether or not I can. Since I'm back, I won't leave. Even if you chase me away, I will head to another border city. No one will protect me there, so I will just charge forwards. If I die, then so be it. Anyway, no one will take me in. Lin Fan's words sounded like he was a rascal. He directly told his father that if he didn't take him in, then he would be sending himself to death. If Lin Wani's body wasn't that tough, he would have been so infuriated by Lin Fan. Old Wu stood at the side and said, Old Master, I think it is better for young Master to stay here. Firstly, he can take care of him. Secondly, young Master's strength is not bad. If young Master goes to another border alone, I am afraid that something unexpected will happen. Zhang Tianshan, that bastard, he can't even do such a simple thing. Lin Wani was so furious that he turned his rage on a Zhang Tianshan. Zhang Tianshan, who was laying out the formation outside, sensed something. He raised his head in confusion, like someone was saying bad things about him. What a weird thing. However, when Lin Wani heard Old Wu's words, he understood that this was the only way. With this unfilial son's temper, what wouldn't he do? What happened to your cultivation? Lin Wani asked. When Lin Fan heard this, he was instantly excited. Father, this is a long story. Your child's innate talent is already considered top-notch. There is no need to doubt this. After leaving U City and coming to Marshall Path Mountain, I started to cultivate and went through many difficulties. However, I feel that my luck is really good. Last time when I was walking on the road, I noticed a bottle of medicine on the ground and ate it. After that, my cultivation increased. There was also a time when I didn't do anything and a heavily injured old man fell from the sky. He said that he couldn't take it anymore, so he transferred all his cultivation to me. Then, there was another time when I was cultivating. Suddenly, I felt like my soul was being pulled by something. At that moment, the Tao of heaven and earth appeared in front of me. Before Lin Fan finished bragging, Lin Wani interrupted him. Okay, you unfilial son, shut up. What are you talking about? Lin Wani stared at this unfilial son who was full of nonsense. If he could believe these words, then Lin Wani, would really be sick in the head. Old Wu smiled. He didn't believe what young master said at all. However, there was a voice in the depths of his heart that reminded him. Actually, he could choose to believe it. Lin Fan said helplessly, Father, you are the one who asked me. I told you, so how can you blame me? Although most of what he said was fake, some of it was true. You just stay here. If you dare to go out and cause trouble, I will break your legs. Lin Wani scoffed and left with his arms by his back. Young master, you should rest. Old Wu smiled. Seeing young master return, he was really happy. Although he was worried, since things had reached such a stage, hiding it and forcing him away wasn't realistic. He could only accept reality. In another room, that damn kid. Lin Wani was so furious that he sat on the chair. His face was cold, but very quickly he thought about something and laughed. He is actually so amazing. Old Wu smiled. Old master, you're really happy. After all, young master's cultivation isn't weak. In my opinion, no one in the younger generation can compare to him. Lin Wani smiled. Of course, the younger generation doesn't even have half of his ability. When these words came out of Lin Wani's mouth, he was filled with pride. Old Wu felt that old master just wasn't telling the truth. In front of young master, he acted so solemn and didn't care at all. But when young master wasn't here, he was so delighted. This is why I said that young master is really outstanding. Maybe when he was in the manor, he was already working hard to cultivate. Now that he went out and obtained a fortuitous encounter, his strength directly increased, and he is no weaker than some of the older generation experts. Old Wu said. Lin Wani nodded. Brother Wu, I will pass the heavy responsibility of looking after him to you. The Alliance definitely won't let this go. Don't worry, old master. I won't let young master get hurt. Old Wu said firmly. Chapter 328. When the surrounding environment wasn't so dangerous and there were people protecting him, it was easy for him to fall. It was comfortable and carefree. Why do I feel like I can still live the life of a rich family young master? Pooey. Lin Fan tossed such impractical thoughts to the back of his head. He was shouting in his heart. Lin Fan, I beg you to be a better person. He felt that his father was definitely happy, but he didn't show it. Who knew that his father was actually unable to see his true feelings at such an age? How helpless. He looked at his rage points. Looking at them, he was filled with emotions and found it unbelievable. The Alliance members were indeed overbearing and hated him to the extreme. If not, they wouldn't have provided him with so many rage points. His current situation was a little complicated. Normal people couldn't touch him, and even geniuses couldn't compare to him. He cultivated many cultivation techniques, and basically all of them reached the return to true realm. There were strong and weak cultivation techniques, but the realm wasn't something that could be reached just by cultivating. Especially the return to true realm that was close to the understanding of the Tao. With just a wave of his hand, he would be able to use the cultivation technique to the extreme. This was why even if it was a simple cultivation technique, it wouldn't be hard for true experts to reach the peak. But to reach return to true realm wasn't something that could be reached with just hard work. One needed comprehension. This was why Lin Fan's own cultivation techniques had mostly reached the return to true realm. When they were merged together, the strength that they gave off was extremely terrifying. It is time to cultivate. My rage points are enough to raise my realm. Lin Fan took in a deep breath and sat cross-legged. He started to organize what he had learned and hoped to improve. Land of the Alliance, the newest main camp of the Alliance. Zhu Daoshan's face was cold, and he didn't say a word. When he passed the Alliance members, they felt that the surrounding temperature had dropped by a lot, like they were in an ice cave. They knew that the Alliance had suffered a huge loss in the battle with the natives. The Alliance experts who returned were all injured. Some were really serious, and half their bodies were pierced. Fresh blood flowed down like a fountain. If they weren't strong, they would have died long ago. Some young Alliance members looked at such tragic scenes, and their eyes turned red. They were heartbroken, and tears flowed down their faces. To them, it was just too tragic. He took a picture of the scene and posted it on the Alliance network. Title: Alliance Heroes on the Front Lines. This earned a wave of tears on the internet, causing many Alliance citizens to be furious. 14 nine-star generals weren't able to take down U City, and they weren't even able to chase them out of the Alliance border. Who do you think will be responsible for this? Zhu Daoshan looked at them and asked. In this battle, the Alliance sent over 12 nine-star generals. Gang Xiong was the local nine-star general, and he, who was known as the strongest nine-star general in the Alliance, actually lost at U City. If this matter were spread outside, it would be like a slap to the face. It was very painful to hear the popping sound. General Zhu, we were too careless this time. We didn't expect Lin Wani's son to appear. Moreover, his moves were so strong and injured so many people. Marshal Gang Xiong said, Indeed, we were careless. So what if he's Lin Wani's son? To us, that level of cultivation is nothing but an ant. But why didn't you react in time? If I hadn't slashed open the dimension and absorbed most of the attacks, how many of our core forces would have died? Zhu Daoshan asked. Gang Xiong looked at Zhu Daoshan and cursed in his heart. Scram, his words were even better than his singing. If you hadn't slashed open the dimension, you wouldn't have been able to react. You didn't even care about it at all. If I hadn't reminded you, you would have just been watching the show. General Zhu, the situation isn't optimistic. I suggest that the Alliance headquarters send more experts over to wipe out all the natives. A nine-star general suggested. Zhu Daoshan squinted and said in an unfriendly tone, So, what you mean is that I can't kill Lin Wani? The nine-star generals were helpless. Damn it. Could they still converse? Could they not act cool? Could they kill him? Did they not know what they were talking about? If he was so easy to kill, they would have killed him long ago. But they had no choice. Although they were nine-star generals, they still had to lower their heads in front of Zhu Daoshan. Send the portrait of Lin Wani's son to the Alliance headquarters and let everyone remember his face. I want him to be hated by everyone. Zhu Daoshan said. General Gang Xiong had nothing to say. He had always admitted that Zhu Daoshan was stronger than him, but in terms of intelligence, the gap was huge. It was a battle, and either he died or he died. But Zhu Daoshan made him come out from underground. He was just so dumb. True heaven body secret technique. As expected, it is an extraordinary body training technique. It is really amazing. The fourth stage consumed 60,000 rage points. This wasn't a normal number. In the past, it would have been enough to raise his cultivation by an entire realm. But even then, it wasn't enough. His god body had reached peak 5-element realm, and he would reach yin-yang realm with just one more step. He thought that it wouldn't be difficult. But looking at the situation, it wasn't enough, and he needed to continue improving it. He felt that if he could improve, then his god body would reach a terrifying level. Improve. He consumed 70,000 rage points. True heaven body secret technique, grade 5 Wong. Lin Fan could feel a gentle power coursing through his god body. Maybe it is enough. His cultivation was just so simple. As long as he had enough rage points, then everything else wouldn't be a problem. Improve. God body's 510 points jumped, and he started to cross into a new realm. To experts, Yin Yang realm was just SOSO, but to Lin Fan, it was a huge step forward. His god body cultivation was already peak 5-element realm, so why not enter Yin Yang realm to raise his strength? When his god body jumped to 520, Yin Yang initial formation. Long. The Yin Yang ocean that was opened up a long time ago instantly expanded and turned into a vast ocean. He clenched his fingers, and he could feel the power in his body boiling. The space between his fingers was shaking. Ooh! Lin Fan took in a deep breath and opened his eyes. A weird glow shone in his eyes. It was really eye-catching and filled with a godly light. As expected, amazing, he exclaimed. If he didn't personally feel it, he wouldn't have been able to imagine how strong this power was. However, he wasn't someone who would easily sink into power. In the blink of an eye, he returned to his normal appearance. Wasn't it just an increase in cultivation? There was nothing to be excited about. Now it was time to raise his true essence realm. His true essence realm was a little behind and was only middle 5-element realm. Looking at his current rage points, he might be able to reach Yin Yang realm. Improve. Consumed 50,000 rage points. Emperor Heaven Scripture, grade 10. Improve. Emperor Heaven Scripture, grade 12 completion. The next day. U City. When Liang Yichu heard that Lin Fan had returned and was shining brightly on the front lines, he was totally shocked. Damn, that was just too terrifying. Liang family head said, I didn't expect this kid to hide so deeply, to have such cultivation at such a young age. Father, to be able to reach such a terrifying realm at such a young age, apart from him, is there anyone else in the world? Liang Yichu asked. He started to doubt life, like he didn't live in the same world. Old Master Liang said, I've never heard of or seen such a thing. Even Lin Wani wasn't as terrifying as him. That was indeed the case. Liang family and Yuan family's role in U City was to send resources over. The two of them had long expanded their business to other cities. At this time, they were really useful. Liang Yichu and Chen Yifei were together. When U City entered a state of defending against the alliance, some normal people were chased away. Chen Yifei was one of them, but because of Liang Yichu, she had to stay. Old Master Liang didn't say much and just let his eldest son do whatever he wanted. Whether or not U City would still exist was a problem, so why think so much? Lin Manor. Young Master, what are you doing? Old Wu asked. Since young Master returned to U City, he had been by his side. When he saw that young Master wanted to move the chair that he often used to the back courtyard to the Alliance land, he was a little lost. Lin Fan said, I want to stay there for a long time, so I need to find something that I have feelings for. Actually, the main reason. That was because he still wanted to live the life of a rich family young master. It was just that he brought it to the Alliance land. When he had nothing to do, he would lie on the walls and look at the Alliance. Old Wu arranged for people to listen to young master and move whatever he wanted. Brother Lin. Just at that moment, Liang Yichu appeared. When he saw Lin Fan, he smiled and walked over. I heard people say that you are back. At the start, I didn't dare to believe it, but I didn't expect it to really be true. Brother Liang, long time no see. Lin Fan smiled. Liang Yichu asked, Brother Lin, is my third brother okay? Although his third brother was a little conflicted with him, and he hated him in the past, no matter what, he was his biological brother. Good, very good. He followed me to Marshall Path Mountain and is now the eldest disciple. He has huge potential, and I have high hopes for him. Lin Fan said. As for the exact truth, it was hard to say. That's good, that's good. All right, Brother Lin, why don't we go drink a few cups? Liang Yichu invited. Lin Fan didn't reject. Since that was the case, then he would go drink a few cups. Drunk Fragrance Pavilion. Brother Lin, I thought that we wouldn't be able to meet in this life. Come, let me toast you. Liang Yichu raised his cup. He was a little melancholic, but he quickly calmed down and smiled. Lin Fan smiled and replied, Brother Liang, I didn't expect you to have changed so much from before. I feel like you have become greasier. He thought about the past. Liang Yichu was really dumb. He had ideas, but didn't know what to do. After Lin Fan's comments, he was enlightened and had many ideas. Liang Yichu smiled. I have a heavy responsibility and am slightly pressured, but I don't regret it. My Liang family and Yuan family are in charge of transporting resources to the city. In the past, I didn't understand why Father wanted to impose such heavy taxes and why he chased away the refugees. So it was all for today. However, Father underestimated the tolerance of the commoners. Although his methods are vicious, the human heart is really complicated. All right, I already have a wife. She is a maid in my family. I thought that Father wouldn't agree, but who knew that he didn't say anything? Now, I just want to send my wife away. The more she stays here, the more she will realize that death is actually really close. Who knows when the city will be wiped out? Lin Fan wanted to brag to Liang Yichu about the outside world, but who knew that once Liang Yichu opened his mouth, he couldn't stop. It was like he was speaking from the bottom of his heart. He felt like Liang Yichu was under too much pressure. Thinking about it, it made sense. He was young and didn't have much cultivation. Staying in this place where he didn't know when he would be wiped out, the pressure in his heart was definitely huge. On this day, in the end, Lin Fan wasn't drunk, but Liang Yichu was. He sent Liang Yichu back, and the person who came out to welcome him was his wife. Old Master Liang smiled when he saw Lin Fan. He smiled back. He just felt a little awkward. In the past, he was really good at arguing with Old Master Liang. And also on this day, Lin Fan was a dual cultivator who reached Yin Yang realm. The next day, the scenery was really good. Lin Fan stood on the wall and looked into the distance. In the extreme distance, there was a blurry image. That was the Alliance's New Yu City main camp. As for the old camp, it had already been occupied. Old Wu, when do you think the Alliance will come? Lin Fan asked. He felt like he had to cause some trouble for the Alliance. It wasn't a good idea to just live peacefully like this. They couldn't be the one to attack each time. That wasn't a big deal. He wasn't someone who would sit there and wait for others to bully him. Usually, they would be the one to attack first, and then he would be the one to attack. Even if he couldn't beat them, he wouldn't let them have an easy time. Lin Fan estimated that the new Alliance main camp was at least 30 miles away. To normal people, it was a little far, but to Lin Fan, it wasn't that far. Old Wu said, Young Master, that is hard to say. Heis, if I were to say, we can't just sit back and wait for our enemies to attack us. The only way is to strike them down and scare them off. If we wait for them to attack us every single time, we won't be able to gain any advantages. That was what he felt. When the Alliance attacked, that would be when the Alliance was most prepared. That wasn't good for Yu City. If he had his father's cultivation, he wouldn't have hesitated and would have attacked right away. Young Master, actually, it isn't that we don't want to fight back, but some things aren't as simple as we think. Now, all the border defenses are really tense. Yu City being broken is like a bolt from the blue to us, which was why Old Master tried his best to break the alliance at Yu City to level the scales. The current situation isn't good for us. The various sects are just watching, and if we lose one at the defense, our strength will be weaker. When Lin Fan heard what Old Wu said, he slowly understood. Then, can't we disturb the alliance and not give them enough time to rest? That was what he was thinking about. Anyway, they were going to fight. Even if they didn't fight head-on, they had to discuss the alliance a little. Old Wu smiled. Young Master, this matter is hard to say, really hard to say. We don't even know how to disturb them. Leave this to me, I will deal with it. Lin Fan patted his chest. It seemed like he had to think about what was the best method to use. Lin Fan laid on the chair. Old Wu, let me think for a while. If you have something to do, then go do it. Old Wu looked at Young Master and left with a smile. He didn't know what Young Master was going to do, but if he really had a plan, then it would be great. To Lin Fan, if he couldn't kill them with strength, then he had to rely on something else. It wasn't a good thing to let them bully him. P.S. Recommend a book. My spiritual energy can talk. Damn, the more books I recommend him, the more books he ends up with. I hope that he can be a better person. Otherwise, I don't want to acknowledge him as my son. Chapter 329. The sky slowly turned dark. Lin Fan laid on the chair and was really bored. He laid on the wall and looked at the light in the distance. Pata! He grabbed the edge of the wall with both hands, and suddenly, a terrifying true essence spread out. The bug controlling technique became stronger, and the special internal strength spread out. It wasn't as small as before, but became much wider. Let me test your wariness first. Lin Fan stood with his arms behind his back and looked into the distance. His long hair danced in the wind. The ground outside the base camp began to tremble slightly, as if something was about to come out of the soil, pushing out mounds of earth. There were many bugs around. Although they were all normal bugs, under the buff of the special internal strength, they weren't normal anymore. Go, have some fun with the Alliance members. To other people, it was really tough to control so many bugs. The true essence needed was just too thick. Normal people wouldn't even be able to do anything before their true essence was used up. Alliance. Team after team of Alliance members were patrolling. They gathered here from all over the Alliance to attack the rich land. Beneath their feet, there were numerous bugs crawling about. It was just that they didn't notice them. Within a dorm, the bugs bit open a crack in the metal floor and then surged out. They were really dense and formed into a ball. CSI. There was a small sound. The bugs seemed to have mutated. They actually grouped together and formed a bugman that was half the height of a human. Its two side-like arms were really sharp. The Alliance member who was sleeping sensed something and opened his eyes. When he saw the terrifying being, he wanted to scream, but the moment he was about to, Poochie! Fresh blood splattered onto the wall. Within the Alliance 9-star general's room. Great-grandfather, when are you coming back? Kuer misses you. Within the room, Zhu Daoshan smiled and looked really benevolent. The equipment in front of him projected a person. It was a little girl hugging a teddy bear and wearing pajamas. Zhu Daoshan said lovingly, Kuer, be good. Once I am done, I will head back. This was totally different from Zhu Daoshan on the battlefield. Then Kair will wait for great-grandpa to come back. The little girl in the projection said happily. At this time, another voice came from the projection. Kuer, hurry up and go to sleep. Don't disturb great-grandfather's rest. The smile on Zhu Daoshan's face didn't disappear. Suddenly, he frowned and sensed that something had happened in the main camp. Okay, bring Kuer to sleep. I still have something to deal with here. Zhu Daoshan said. In the projection. Great-grandfather, good night. Zhu Daoshan waved his hand. Kuer, sleep well. Great-grandfather will be back in a few days. Patter. The projection turned off. Zhu Daoshan got up and retracted his smile. His expression was dark and sunken, and a terrifying aura spread out. The space in front of him ripped open, and he stepped in. Help! What kind of monsters are these? Don't panic. Kill these things. The Alliance was in a mess, and many technical members of the Alliance had been killed. They weren't strong, and some of them were still in deep sleep. When they faced these unknown bugs, they couldn't defend at all. Of course, there were some experts who noticed that something was wrong. They attacked right away and killed many bugs. Smelly bug, don't come over. Someone save me, I don't want to die. The alarm rang out. Numerous Alliance members who were fine, but were in deep sleep, were woken up. They didn't know what had happened, but the alarm meant that an enemy had invaded. When they came outside, they saw countless black things moving in an overwhelming manner. On closer look, they didn't expect them to be bugs. How long? Many terrifying auras exploded forth and crushed down, causing those bugs to explode. Where did these come from? General Gang Xiong's expression was solemn, and he didn't expect such a thing to happen. But now wasn't the time to think about such things. He had to clear out all these bugs. All the 9-star generals attacked at the same time. A terrifying aura that normal people couldn't touch swept the entire camp. The aura was like an invisible blade. With a Poochie, many human-shaped bugs were wiped out, and not even bits of them were left. Not long later, all the bugs in U City Alliance's camp were killed. Some of the dead bug liquid gave off a weird smell that spread in the air. It made one feel like vomiting. Zhu Daoshan came out with a cold expression. What is going on? Why did so many bugs enter this place? Are the patrolling people dreaming? When the terrified Alliance members heard the 9-star generals holler, they lowered their heads in fear. At the same time, they were roaring in their hearts. That's right. Were those patrolling people dreaming? So many bugs attacked, and there was no alarm at all. They were so terrified that they were about to collapse, especially those who were in the toilet. Suddenly, they realized that their butts were cold, and they lowered their heads to take a look. Damn! The toilet bowl was actually filled with bugs, and there were many bugs with big pincers, making kacha sounds. If one's reaction was not fast enough, it was very likely that the thing would have been broken. At this moment, bean-sized beads of sweat were dripping from the foreheads of the patrolling members. General, we didn't notice anything weird at all. They were very scared. They really couldn't be blamed for such a thing happening. They didn't know where these King bugs came from. Someone from the bug clearing team came to report. General, based on our search, we noticed that these bugs came from underground. A guy reported the situation. His expression was a little unnatural. He saw that the people who were killed by the bugs died so badly. If one's heart wasn't strong, one would have vomited on the spot. How is that possible? The ground is made of Alliance alloy, and it is really tough. How can these bugs break it? General Gang Xiong said. General Gang Xiong, that is really the case. If you don't believe me, you could take a look. The alloy has been bitten open. The guy said, there are some things that couldn't be easily blamed. Even if one was a 9-star general, it still wouldn't work. Those you city people are attacking, Zhu Daoshan said coldly. To him, without even thinking, it was definitely done by the natives. Otherwise, who would dare to attack them? If my guesses are correct, they should be similar to Monster Emperor. General Gang Xiong found it weird. Monster Emperor? How is that possible? Monster Emperor is working with the Alliance and is far away in Maigu City. How can he come to you city? How are the casualties? Zhu Daoshan asked. I don't know yet, but it seems like they noticed it early and didn't cause many casualties. However, it dealt a huge blow to some of the Alliance's researchers. General Gang Xiong said, that was really the case. Those researchers were indeed scared out of their wits by this scene. Or rather, they had never seen such a horrifying scene before. They were used to dealing with clean equipment, but they had never experienced such a terrifying scene. Zhu Daoshan's face was cold, and he didn't say a word. It was obvious that he was furious deep down. Oh my God, I didn't expect them to notice so quickly. So many bugs died. Lin Fan was filled with regret and helplessness. He thought that he could play for a while longer, but who knew that they wouldn't give him a chance at all? When the bugs were crushed by the 9-star generals, he sensed that his connection with them was cut off. So boring. I will come tomorrow to play with all of you. He left the city wall and walked towards the resting area. The next morning, young master, breakfast is ready. Old Wu's voice spread in from outside. Lin Fan woke up. This was the most comfortable night he had ever slept, and he didn't need to worry about anything at all. I am coming. To him, this was like returning home. No, he was at home, just that the territory had changed. He wasn't in Yu City, but in the Alliance's territory. He came to the dining area. Old Wu, where's my father? Lin Fan asked. Old Wu said. Old Master woke up and went to check on the situation. Lin Fan didn't say much and just continued to eat. He still had things to do later. Since he returned to Yu City, he couldn't just wait quietly. He had to cause some problems for the Alliance. The Alliance's situation last night seemed to have spread to them, and many people were discussing it. They heard that something happened at the Alliance's side, which caused some chaos. After the meal, Lin Fan casually strolled around. The experts here all knew Lin Fan. After all, they were once people of Yu City. He couldn't remember them, but they remembered him. Young Master Lin, where are you going? Someone asked, just casually looking around. Lin Fan smiled and continued to walk forwards. Suddenly, he saw someone and shouted, Zhang Tianshan. Zhang Tianshan pushed a small cart and strengthened the formations around. He also laid out some new ones. Who is calling me? When Zhang Tianshan heard someone call him, he raised his head and saw Lin Fan right away. He knew that the kid was here yesterday, but he didn't want to meet him. Who knew that he would bump into him just like that? He felt a little helpless. "Why are you here?" Zhang Tianshan asked. Lin Fan giggled. "You are asking me why I am here? I should be the one asking you. I didn't expect that you would actually have the courage to come here." Zhang Tianshan said, "Kid, what do you mean by that? You make it sound like I am a coward. Pay attention to the way you address me. Who is in charge of Marshall Path Mountain?" Lin Fan realized that Zhang Tianshan was jumping up and down. He actually called him kid. In the past, he called him sect leader. Zhang Tianshan waved his hands. "Okay, what Marshall Path Mountain? Those few disciples are just playing house. Your father and I are good brothers, so I have to call you nephew, and you have to call me uncle. As for sect leader or not, let's not talk about it." Oh my God. He really didn't expect that. In a short 1 to 2 months, Zhang Tianshan became so arrogant and didn't care about him at all. But before he could say anything more, a voice suddenly rang out. Zhang Tianshan said, "I heard that something happened at the Alliance last night. Did you do it?" He really doubted it. Before the kid came, everything was calm and nothing happened at the Alliance. But now that the kid came back, something happened at the Alliance. If one said that it had nothing to do with him, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. "Yes, it was me." Lin Fan didn't hide anything. There was no need to hide anything. He did it himself, so he had to let others know how overbearing he was. "You really are bold. Aren't you afraid that the Alliance will beat you to death?" Zhang Tianshan was impressed. He was really impressed by this kid. Lin Fan smiled. "You make it sound like if we didn't do that, the Alliance wouldn't beat us to death." Zhang Tianshan thought about it and felt that it made sense. "Let's not talk about all this. Zhang Tianshan, I remember that you aren't that strong and only know how to deal with Yin demons. Where did you get the ability to come here?" Lin Fan asked. Speaking of Yin demons, when he returned to U City, he saw that there were Yin demons in the forest. He was no longer the greenhorn he had been in the beginning, and he had long since learned many secrets. The Yin demons were there to block the Alliance. Actually, this wasn't blocking, but rather, they didn't reject anyone. As long as someone stepped into their territory, they would be attacked by the Yin demons. Zhang Tianshan looked at Lin Fan and felt like this kid had been underestimating him. That made him slightly annoyed. "Kid, strength doesn't mean everything. My strength isn't in my arms and legs, but here." Zhang Tianshan pointed at his head. His words nearly made Lin Fan spit out a laugh. If he pointed at his crotch, he might be able to tell. Now, if he pointed at his head, could he slice it open? "Do not believe me. Next time the Alliance attacks, I will let you see my strongest ability." Zhang Tianshan didn't want to be too direct. Lin Fan was lazy to say more as he had other things to do. Let's go. Another place." Lin Wani was in deep thought. "Brother Wu, who do you think was last night?" Old Wu thought about it and said, "Logically speaking, I don't know, but thinking about it, I think that young master has the highest chance. Based on what I know, the Alliance was attacked by bugs, and apart from Insect Valley, only Monster Emperor can control them. But Monster Emperor is in Maigu City, and he won't help us. A long time ago, didn't young master cultivate Insect Valley's bug controlling technique, which is why I think that young master has a high chance." Old Wu's guess wasn't wrong at all, and it was all true. Lin Wani frowned. "That's impossible. I trashed his bug controlling technique internal strength. So how can he still cultivate it?" To him, it was just too confusing. Since he couldn't figure it out, he had to ask. Lin Wani wouldn't guess with Lin Fan and had to ask. He was even a little angry and felt that the kid didn't listen to him and actually dared to cultivate bug controlling technique. Although he wasn't sure, to Lin Wani, he was sure that the kid was the one who did it. He searched for a long time, but didn't see any signs of the kid. He went to ask and found out that the kid actually went to U City. Forget it. Lin Wani didn't want to ask more and just let him be. Even he wasn't sure how long U City could last for and whether or not it could last forever. But he felt that the chances were low. As long as the Alliance made up their mind, then U City would face the most terrifying scene. Within the city. "Brother Lin, what are you looking for? What do you need?" Just tell me, and I will definitely do it for you. Liang Yichu asked. He had accompanied Lin Fan for a long time and didn't know what he wanted. If he had a clear goal, then it would be easy. I'm looking for a toilet. Liang Yichu was shocked and then said, Brother Lin, you should have said so earlier. I would have brought you to the manor. No, I'm looking for a toilet that everyone uses. Lin Fan said. He lived in Yu City and didn't know where the public toilet was. Liang Yichu didn't understand what Brother Lin wanted to do, but he still led the way. Follow me. Not long later, the two of them stopped in front of a toilet. Even from outside, one could smell the stench within. It was said that the reason one could smell it was because there were feces floating in the air. When one entered the toilet, one couldn't see it with the naked eye, but actually everyone was surrounded by feces. If the smell was pungent, then it meant that the feces floating in the air were thick. It really stinks, Lin Fan said. Liang Yichu didn't understand what Lin Fan was thinking about, but he still said, It definitely stinks. This is a toilet. But, Brother Lin, can you tell me why we are here? Apart from feces, there was only feces in the toilet. There were no treasures. Lin Fan didn't have the courage to enter and just said, Brother Liang, I have a favor to ask of you. Liang Yichu said, Please speak. Please find some people to collect all the feces in the city and place it in a vat before sending it to my side. Lin Fan said. Liang Yichu looked at Lin Fan with his mouth agape. Oh my God, what kind of request was that? He had never heard of someone actually having such a request. But to Lin Fan's baffling request, he really agreed to it. Okay, leave it to me, Liang Yichu said. Although he didn't know what Brother Lin wanted, as long as he didn't eat it, then everything was fine. Lin Fan couldn't take it. It was just too heavy. He thought about what he had to do next. He felt like the burden on his body was really heavy because he would be beaten to death. But in order to fight against the Alliance, so what was the big deal? Brother Liang, you have to be quick. This is a really important matter. Also, don't say that it is feces. I have already thought of a code name. Once it is collected, just transport it to the Alliance city walls. I will wait for you there, Lin Fan said. Liang Yichu saw that Brother Lin's expression was really solemn. He nodded his head solemnly. Don't worry, Brother Lin. I will do this quickly. I will arrange people to clean all the toilets in the city. Although he didn't know what Brother Lin's goal was. But from his expression, one could tell that this was a really important matter. Lin Fan smiled. He was looking forward to what was going to happen next. Chapter 330. After Lin Fan and Liang Yichu went their separate ways, the other party started to gather manpower and started to move the rice in the city. Lin Fan returned to the Alliance's main camp and continued to lie on the chair. There were no fruits and no one to serve him. As expected, you're still used to enjoying life. Lin Fan sighed. He missed the days when Go Zi was by his side. They were carefree and didn't need to worry about anything. Go Zi could handle everything perfectly. Now, what he regretted was that he didn't know where his cousin had gone. He would rather have his cousin by his side than let him wander outside. The outside world was too dangerous, and if one didn't have any tricks up their sleeves, they might not be able to win against others. Looking into the distance, Lin Fan's heart gradually calmed down without much of a fluctuation. He had yet to figure out what the god territory in his body was for. It was the same as before. Apart from a wisp of gray fog floating in the air, there was nothing strange about it. It was very vexing. If he could activate the miraculous effects of the god domain, he would definitely have more tricks up his sleeves. He hoped that he would discover the usefulness of the god's domain after some time. It did not matter if it was possible. There's nothing wrong with giving yourself a little confidence. Young master, you're here. Old man Wu appeared beside him. Old master has been looking for you for a long time, but couldn't find you. Lin Fan smiled and said, Why is my father looking for me? Are you going to ask me if I was the one behind the alliance? Yes, that's what master wanted to ask. Old Wu said. Since young master was so calm, it was obvious that young master did it. Yes, I did it. I couldn't beat them, and I didn't dare to take the initiative to enter their territory. I could only discuss them a little. Lin Fan was helpless. He wanted the Alliance to know that he was the one who did all of this and that they should hate him. If you don't hate me, then what are you doing? Old Wu was very curious. Young Master, I remember that old master trash your bug controlling technique, internal strength. How can you still cultivate it? Old Wu couldn't figure it out. That was impossible. Once old master made a move, there wouldn't be any so-called miracles. Normally, if it was gone, then there was no need to think about it. Lin Fan said, I just continued to cultivate. Actually, I didn't face any obstacles. Old Wu looked at young master in shock. He actually didn't know what to say. Young master made it sound so simple, but he knew that it was impossible. Old Wu, are you busy right now? Lin Fan asked. Old Wu said, Young master, this old servant has nothing to do at the moment. Lin Fan smiled. That's great. I don't want to move for now. Can you help me get some fruits and a cup of tea? All right, then please wait a moment, young master. This old servant will get it done right away. Old Wu had many questions at his heart, but he didn't ask too much. Young master had his own thoughts, and it was best not to probe further. Lin Fan lay on the chair and stretched his body. What a dispirited day. Very soon, Old Wu carried the food over. It was all Lin Fan's favorite food. In the past, Go Zi did all these things, and he wasn't used to doing it himself. Young master, it is best if less people know about Insect Valley's bug controlling technique. Old Wu reminded young master. What he said was the truth, and he hoped that young master could remember it. Yes, I know, Lin Fan replied. Although he said so, he actually had no idea in his heart. If they knew, then so be it. Cultivation techniques were meant to be used. To be sneaky wasn't like his style. Eating fruits and drinking tea, the days were much more leisurely. In Laozan City, he had to be serious. But in Yu City, it was different. He could release himself and do whatever he wanted. Would the Alliance let him off just because he didn't offend them? That was impossible. This was why he had to offend them in such a way. Offending them until they exploded would be the best outcome. Old Wu told Old Master the news that he got from Young Master. After Lin Wani heard it, he was shocked. How is that possible? Old Wu said, Old Master, are you sure he was trashed? Of course. How could I let him cultivate the bug controlling technique? Lin Wani said. He thought about it for a moment and shook his head. It seems like this kid hid many things from me. Maybe Old Master making Young Master leave Yu City was the right choice. Otherwise, Young Master wouldn't have become so outstanding. Old Wu smiled. Lin Wani shook his head. Haze, what is the point of saying all this? Didn't he still come back? Who knows what this kid is thinking? Old Wu smiled. Young Master came back because he was worried about Old Master. He was reluctant to leave Old Master. At least this kid has a conscience, but I hope that he can listen to me and not come back. Lin Wani had a thought. No matter what, he wouldn't let this kid die here. It wasn't late, but it was already dusk. Brother Lin, not far away, Liang Yichu used a cloth to cover his mouth and nose. Oh my God, this smell was just too smelly. He nearly vomited. Here, move it here. Lin Fan waved his hands excitedly. In a while, a shocking battle was about to take place. Just thinking about it made him emotional. Very quickly, a stench spread out. Those people moving the vats nearly couldn't take it and fell to the ground. It was just too smelly. To them, SH tea was already smelly, but who knew that when so many were mixed together, the stench would be even more shocking, no matter how strong one was. Even if one's nose was blocked, one would cry from the smell. What is this smell? Why is it so pungent? Where are those people moving? I feel like it is smelly tofu, but the smell is much thicker than that. They raised their heads and looked at young Master Lin on the city walls. They didn't understand what it was used for. Very quickly, vats after vats of things called rice fields were moved over and placed all over the city walls. Liang Yichu said, Young Master Lin, everything is prepared, but what is it used for? He just wanted to know what the F*** was used for. He was really curious. Secret. Lin Fan acted mysteriously. Liang Yichu was eager to know what this mysterious hook was used for. Thank you all for your hard work. The people moving the vats were all Yu City experts. Their cultivations might not have been high, but they had contributed to this battle. No, not only them, but everyone in the city, their contributions were all condensed in these vats. Young Master Lin, why do you need these? That's right, the surroundings are so smelly. They didn't understand. Even if they used their brains to think about it, they wouldn't be able to understand what it was used for. Lin Fan didn't say much and told them to leave. What happened next wasn't a good thing. Liang Yichu wanted to stay here, but looking at Brother Lin, he didn't want anyone to stay here. This made him feel helpless. Everyone had left. Lin Fan raised his hand, and the lid flew up. He bore with the smell that surged into the sky. Then, the sword seed appeared, and he tossed it into each vats. If people saw this, they would definitely point at Lin Fan and scold him. This was an insult to the sword path. How could he taint such a sincere sword path? He wasn't worthy of using the sword. To Lin Fan, wasn't this a sword? What was the big deal? As long as he could use it, then it wasn't a problem. If the sword seed had intelligence and could speak, it would say WQNMLGB. In case the vats leaked out and stained the land, he could only use true essence to seal the lids just in case. Alliance, I have prepared a gift for all of you. Please accept it. Lin Fan looked into the distance. In a while, there was going to be a battle with the smell. If people could remember it and spread it down. He hoped that the name of the battle would be U City SH*T Battle. The Alliance was a little far from here, but that wasn't a problem. Lin Fan was a dual cultivator and had shocking strength. Just his strength alone would be able to toss the vats over to the Alliance. Let's go. He didn't say much and started to move. He tossed the vats into the distance, and all of them turned into shooting stars and disappeared. Alliance. They were attacked by bugs last night and were still cleaning up. Each corner of the room was covered in bugs, and it was just disgusting and terrifying. At this time, it was time for dinner. The Alliance members lined up and took their food. As the place where they ate was occupied by bugs, they were cleaning up the corpses and disinfecting them. Everyone ate in the empty space outside. A bunch of people gathered together and chatted with one another. Although they were all Alliance citizens, they came from all over the world. My friend is at Maigu City, and he told me that Maigu City is really comfortable. He doesn't have much to do every day. Just watch movies and listen to music. Occasionally, he would even gain a lot. How is it like us? How did you all come to U-City? Were you assigned here? The college assigned me here, and I hope to train and strengthen myself. Who knew that the frequency of battles in U-City would be so high and the death rate would be so terrifying? It is glorious to fight for the Alliance. Glorious, they said in unison. To them, the situation here was really dangerous. It was indeed honorable to fight for the Alliance, but they also told their friends about the situation here and told them to be careful and not choose U-City. The intensity of the battles here was dozens of times that of other places. Especially last night. It was like a nightmare that wrapped around their hearts. Those disgusting bugs appeared beside them for no reason at all. It terrified them so much that they were about to explode. To experts, naturally, they didn't fear anything. But to some researchers, in front of those bugs, they were defenseless. Look in the sky. There seems to be something. Someone raised his head and noticed that there was a black shadow in the clouds. However, it was really blurry and they couldn't see it clearly. Everyone held their bowls and raised their heads. They looked on curiously. Slowly, all of them were engrossed. It really does seem like it. It seems like it's going to rain. The moment he said that, hula, thick rainwater fell. It was yellowish in color, and there were some unknown lumps of unknown things. One of the researchers looked on in confusion and muttered to himself, "Yellow rain. Could it be some kind of radiation?" He thought about it and didn't understand. With a smack, a pile of SH*T smashed onto his face. He reached out and grabbed it. He lowered his head and looked at it. What was that? He smelled it. It was so smelly. Then, his body trembled violently, as if he had thought of something terrifying. His body was trembling, and his hands were trembling. His entire body was screaming in agony, as if he had suffered some kind of serious injury. Someone lowered his head and ate. Yellow rainwater dripped into his bowl. It was just rain, so he didn't care much about it. But very quickly, that person smashed his bowl on the ground. What is going on? The rice is smelly. sh*t. This is rain sh*t. Hong Long. A loud explosion spread out in the sky like thunder. Sword seeds exploded. The vats all exploded, and the rice inside fell from the sky like a flood. When Gang Xiong heard the commotion outside, he was shocked and charged out. It was a mess outside, and he hollered, "You all, put on." A yellow liquid mixed with a sticky substance was poured onto Gang Xiong's body. General Gang Xiong's expression changed. He sniffed, and a weird smell swept over, filling up his nose. He then lowered his head and noticed that there was something on his clothes. His brain seemed to have been emptied. He didn't dare and wasn't willing to believe all of this. Ugh! The disgusting smell caused Gang Xiong's urge to vomit to the max. He bent down and vomited. "Gang Xiong, what is going on outside?" Zhu Daoshan frowned and was really unhappy. What was going on? "Don't come out." When Gang Xiong heard the voice behind him, he turned around and waved his hands to stop him from coming out. But as he used too much strength, the unknown liquid on his fingers and a sticky thing that was the size of a fingernail splattered onto Zhu Daoshan's face. There was also a small piece that splattered onto the corner of his mouth. Zhu Daoshan's face was calm, but his heart was filled with rage. He raised his hand and wiped it off. Maybe because he had destroyed the stability of the unknown substance, its structure collapsed. A pungent and disgusting smell exploded out. "This is the smell of sh*t. His breathing became rushed, but he suppressed the rage in his heart. He looked outside and saw that there was dirt all around, on the buildings and on everyone's bodies. A group of people were running in the yellow rain, while another group of people were holding their heads and screaming for their parents. At that moment, on the empty ground, a young man was very good-looking and could be said to be very handsome, but at this moment his entire body was covered in sticky stuff. His hair, face, and body were all covered in sticky stuff. He lowered his head and clenched his fists. His body was trembling as he walked forwards. Shio! A pile of stuff landed on his head and smashed into pieces. But he was expressionless and didn't react at all. He just walked forwards like that. He then called the signal. The moment a question spread out from the other side, the calm and handsome guy hollered, "Professor, I want to go back. I don't want to stay here. I want to die. I really want to die." "Wu Hao, calm down. You have to calm down. You are my best disciple, and this is the best time for you to gain merits. I believe in you. No difficulty will make you retreat." The professor on the other side sensed the disciple's holler and was instantly confused. What was going on? Wu Hao said in a frenzy, "Professor, this isn't difficulty. This is hell. Last night, when I opened my eyes, there were bugs in front of me. Now, it is raining sh*t, and I am eating under it. I am going crazy. I want to go back. I don't want to stay here." The other side was silent. Not long later, he said slowly, "Everything is for the Alliance. Damn the Alliance." Pata! He hung up the signal. Ah! Wu Hao raised his head and hollered in rage. Rain fell into his mouth. Pung! He fell to the ground. Regretfully, another one went crazy. After a long while, the rain stopped. A rare seven-colored rainbow appeared in the sky. It was really beautiful. A thick smell spread in the air. This was a smell that could make one collapse. Even people who loved to eat smelly tofu found it hard to accept. General Gang Xiong's face was dark and sunken. A terrifying aura spread out from his body. He was like a furious lion. "Gang Xiong, go take a bath." At this moment, the rage in Zhu Daoshan's heart was no less than Gang Xiong's. As one of the strongest 9-star generals, he was actually tainted by such a dirty thing. But he couldn't be angry. Looking at those members, they were about to go mad. General Gang Xiong was provoked by those words. His eyes turned red and he hollered in rage, "Native, I will fight you to the death." Pung! The alloy ground cracked. Gang Xiong dashed into the distance. All of this was done by the natives. How disgusting! How despicable! Gang Xiong, Zhu Daoxian saw that Gang Xiong wasn't in a good state and hollered right away. But Gang Xiong didn't care about him and just disappeared. Stupid thing, you were just asking to die. Zhu Daoxian chased and spread his voice. All 9-star generals follow me. General, organize people to clean up the area. Those 9-star generals were still in a stunned state. Thousands of curses flashed across their hearts. Damn it, was that even something a human would do? When they heard Zhu Daoxian's voice, they followed closely. It was obvious that the people from Yu City had seen the situation. When they saw the situation on Gang Xiong's body, they were all shocked. Damn, Gang Xiong was drenched in sh*T. Oh my god, if this gets out, I'll lose all my face. Do you think General Zhu was drenched? They discussed softly and felt that there was a possibility. Otherwise, why would they be so furious? Actually, they felt fortunate that they were in the room and not outside. Otherwise, if they didn't pay attention, they would really think that it was rain and not sh*T. It was really smelly. They didn't dare to chase Gang Xiong as he was too smelly. If they stood beside him, they would be surrounded by sh*T on the city wall. What happened? Lin Fan was waiting for the situation to continue. Maybe they would feel really happy. Suddenly, he saw movement in the distance and didn't dare to hesitate. He shouted at the top of his lungs, "Father, come out quickly. Someone is attacking us." The moment he said this, Lin Wani appeared beside Lin Fan. Lin Wani appeared beside Lin Fan. He was so quick that one couldn't react at all. Perhaps this was a father's love that had a telepathic connection. Hung Long. The other experts instantly came out. Damn, is the Alliance dog so arrogant? Do they really think that I'm easy to bully? Zhu Shun was really annoyed, and he couldn't take it anymore. Gang Xiong was furious. Chapter 331. The rage points that the 14 9-star generals gave him were a lot. He loved such an environment. He looked at him in rage, but there was nothing he could do. Especially General Gang Xiong. The rage aura he gave off had a weird smell to it. One could smell it from so far away. He acted like he was fanning himself, like there was a stench coming from him. When Marshal Gang Xiong saw Lin Fan's humiliating actions, he was instantly enraged. Damn it, damn it. He really wanted to step on Lin Fan, to crush his head and crush his body. You unfilial kid, you were just so disgusting. Lin Wani kept silent for a long while before saying those words. Those words had no substance at all, and it made Lin Fan a little sad. What? He really wanted to ask, "Father, do you know what you're saying? None of your words are encouraging. Do you know how much of a blow it has dealt to my heart? Can't you just praise me?" Lin Fan retorted, "Dad, I don't agree with what you said. I'm just watering them, fertilizing them. Although it looks disgusting at first glance, after a period of time, they'll realize that they've already grown up. Look at that guy who's been watered. He's obviously grown up." Lin Wani looked at the unfilial kid and didn't know what to say. Till now, he didn't understand what the kid was thinking. Was there a need to be so vicious? Even suppressing them to the ground would have been better than this. In the past, Lin Wani felt that he was one of the people that the 9-star generals had to kill. But now, things had changed and the target was his son. As expected, it was passed down from generation to generation. Huh? Zhu Shun laughed maniacally. Young Master Lin is right, and you did well. Gang Xiong, you should head back to take a bath. Whoever dares to attack you has turned into a sh*T person. They don't even want to talk to you. What is the saying? All right, it is called spitting sh*T. Huh? Zhu Shun is really knowledgeable. Everyone laughed and mocked in an unrestrained manner. To them, to be able to see the Alliance 9-star generals lose face, naturally, they had to take the chance to mock them. Even if they didn't attack, they had to make them feel disgusted. Shut up. Gang Xiong roared angrily. The rage of a marshal was terrifying. The world itself was trembling. But to the Yu City experts, the angrier Gang Xiong was, the happier they were. Maybe he was unhappy and wanted to fight them. Lin Fan said solemnly, "Be careful. General Gang Xiong wants to spit shit the moment he opens his mouth. The stench is so strong that normal people will have to avoid him. Young Master Lin is right. Everyone be careful. Ah, Alliance's strongest general Gang Xiong actually became like this. It seems like we need to promote it and let more people know. General Gang Xiong was the most tragic one out of all the generals. He wanted to shout, "Just who did I offend? Why is it that when I come out, shit and piss fall from the sky, but nothing happens to them?" Right now, it was these natives who were bullying others. What were they doing? All of them acted as if this matter did not happen to them and did not care about it. Was this the kind of friendship they had? The current situation. This was the first time Gang Xiong felt despair. He looked at the people around him. Their faces were expressionless. In fact, it seemed to him that some of them were trying to hold back their laughter. It was as if his current appearance was really very funny. Gang Xiong calmed down. Zhu Daoshan consoled him. He understood that General Gang Xiong's mentality had collapsed. Not to mention that a general's will was greater than the heavens. That was all nonsense. He could only blame the U City natives for going overboard. They were just too despicable. Lin Fan said casually, "General Gang Xiong, how can you calm down? They're just here to watch the show. If I were to say, you should just fight and explode. Take out all your strength and hammer me, the main culprit, to death. Then you will be able to calm down. If not, you will be a black mark for the rest of your life." It seemed like he was consoling him, but actually he was provoking him. Lin Wani looked at this unfilial kid and felt a little furious. Rage points plus 66. He was the one who did it and said those words. If there really was a war, they would be the ones to fight. As expected, he really planned it well. Gang Xiong, calm down. Don't be affected by his words. Zhu Daoshan didn't expect this kid to really be able to sow discord. If Gang Xiong couldn't take it and a war broke out, should they fight or not? If they didn't, Gang Xiong would definitely die. But if they did, Gang Xiong wouldn't be the only one who would die. Lin Fan continued, "Hayes, what a fake brother relationship. If my friend suffered such humiliation, he wouldn't be able to calm down. He would definitely sacrifice his life to gain face for his brother." At that moment, Zhu Daoshan looked at Lin Fan like he was saying, "Damn, can you shut up?" He noticed that Gang Xiong's emotions weren't calm. It was like he was really provoked by Lin Fan's words. Old Wu looked at Young Master's performance and was shocked. Young Master was really amazing. Society, it was just too society. Gang Xiong, turn around and look at your brothers. They are all expressionless, and some are even suppressing their laughter. Do you think they care about you? Actually, to them, the more humiliated you are, the happier they will be. If you die, they will unscrupulously spread the news of you turning into a sh*T person. If you don't believe me, then take a look. Lin Fan really hoped that Gang Xiong could suppress the rage in his heart and explode with his most terrifying aura. Then his father and the others would kill him. Rage points plus 999. Rage points started to explode once more. The Alliance 9-star generals looked at Lin Fan in shock. Their thoughts were simple. This kid was really cunning. The person who had been secretly smiling now held it in. His expression became very serious, and when Marshal Gang Xiong looked over, he said seriously, "Gang Xiong, we can understand your situation. If you want to attack, we will definitely attack together with you." It wasn't that they were afraid that Gang Xiong would see them cause trouble. But when Zhu Daoshan's gaze swept over them, their bodies shook and they were actually a little nervous. "Hayes, how fake?" "Gang Xiong, if you have balls, then attack and see whether or not they will attack." "Don't worry, I definitely won't attack." Lin Fan said. Damn, of course he wouldn't attack. Weren't the people beside him humans? Moreover, the current situation didn't give the Alliance 9-star generals much of an advantage. If they really attacked, then this would be U-City's territory. With U-City's strength, it wouldn't be a problem for them to kill some 9-star generals. Lin Wani, you better control your son. People who are too arrogant won't have a good ending. Zhu Daoshan's tone became dark and sunken. It was obvious that Lin Fan had angered him. If Lin Wani and the others weren't here, he swore that he would definitely let this kid know what true terror was. At that moment, Lin Fan looked at his father and realized that his father's gaze towards him was a little off. Father, is something the matter? Lin Wani sighed and didn't want to say anything. He felt that this unfilial kid was really bold and dared to mock everyone. Now that the 14 nine-star generals were right in front of him, he didn't hesitate at all. As expected, he was really bold. Gang Xiong really wanted to attack. The rage in his heart was boiling. But for some reason, Gang Xiong didn't rage like what Lin Fan expected. He didn't care about anything and just charged towards Lin Fan. Brat, remember this. Gang Xiong, can do nothing in this life, but I will definitely take your life. The atmosphere was a little suppressed. This was the oath that an Alliance 9-star general said. If a normal person was stared at by a 9-star general, they would probably pee their pants. They might even cry for their parents and beg for their lives. Unfortunately, his target was Lin Fan. General Zhu, let's go. The Alliance will definitely flatten you city. Just wait and see. Gang Xiong's eyes turned red and his tone became really hoarse. Zhu Shun stood beside Lin Fan and told him that he would protect him. Zhang Sheng and the others also stood to the side. They noticed that young Master Lin's expression was solemn and thought that Gang Xiong's words stunned him. They understood. After all, this was a 9-star general and not a normal person. But Lin Fan said calmly, I am waiting to see. Since that is the case, then let's head back to shower. If not, this SH*T will solidify and it won't be easy to wash it off. The U City experts looked at Lin Fan with their mouths agape. Dear young Master Lin, is this for real? Do you really want to anger Gang Xiong to death? They thought about it from a different perspective. Not to mention Gang Xiong, if they were in his shoes, they probably wouldn't be able to take it. Gang Xiong's expression changed once more. If Lin Fan was one of the people he hated the most, but if he wanted to kill the most, it would definitely be Lin Fan. Zhu Daoshan walked beside Gang Xiong and wanted to pat his shoulder. But he thought about something and retracted his hand. Gang Xiong, just remember him. In the future, he will be someone that the Alliance has to kill. Damn, the smell was too King strong. He choked so badly that tears flowed down. He couldn't take it. But Zhu Daoshan couldn't retreat, otherwise, Gang Xiong would know that he was right and that they all despised him. He didn't expect this kid to be so vicious. His methods were really vicious, and he was just killing people. ASH*T rain crushed everyone. Now that he was here to console Gang Xiong, he didn't know what was going on at the main camp. Father, why don't we attack? Lin Fan said softly. He didn't have the strength, otherwise, he wouldn't have waited until now. Lin Wani stared at Lin Fan and didn't say anything. This unfilial kid really knew how to cause trouble. They had already reached their goal of defending here, which was to restrict the Alliance. They definitely wouldn't take the initiative to attack. Lin Fan sighed. Old Wu, why don't we attack? Old Wu smiled and didn't say anything. This made Lin Fan feel really awkward. Based on the situation, he probably wouldn't be able to attack today. What was there to be afraid of? Wasn't he just doing something? Not long later, Gang Xiong and the others left. Lin Fan was really reluctant. Even if he continued to mock him, he didn't turn his head. But he could sense that his killing intent had locked onto him. Haze. Only when he disappeared did Lin Fan sigh, helplessly, to express his regret. Who knew that only 14 9-star generals would come? At that time, he really thought that the Alliance would go all out to suppress him and kill him. Unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan. Young Master, you are amazing. Old Wu smiled and was impressed by young Master's actions. He was really impressed. Normal people wouldn't be able to do such a thing. Moreover, no one thought of such a method. Although it was a little disgusting, it was really effective. Lin Fan said, "Was that amazing? It is just SOSO. They're just so cowardly. I bullied them, and they didn't do anything at all." After saying this, he shook his head like he was really unhappy. Old Wu felt that young Master had become mischievous. In the past, young Master wasn't like this. Maybe it was because he didn't walk into young Master's heart. Huh. Zhu Shun smiled. Young Master Lin, I really admire you. I didn't expect that so many of us wouldn't infuriate the Alliance. Instead, young Master Lin managed to infuriate the 14 nine-star generals. I am impressed. Lin Fan waved his hands and said humbly, "It is okay. Actually, their internal situation is worse." Father, why did you hit my head?" Lin Fan hugged his head and looked at his father in confusion. He had just done something huge, and it was okay if he didn't praise him, but why did he even hit him? That was just too much. Lin Wani's face was cold. "You unfilial kid, you can still smile. Now that the Alliance has locked onto you, unless the Alliance has wiped out you. Hayes, forget it. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Take care of yourself. I won't care about you anymore." "Oh," Lin Fan replied simply. "Don't care about me?" It was obvious that he was lying. If he really didn't care, then would he have appeared by his side right away? Who knew that his father was such a playful person and wasn't good at expressing his feelings? "Father, let me ask you something," Lin Fan said. Lin Wani said coldly, "Speak." It was a simple and clear word, but it revealed Lin Wani's unrestrained personality. "Father, actually, you can open up your heart and release yourself. Is it so hard to praise me? I know that you are really happy and want to praise me, but maybe because of your pride, you think that I am more outstanding than you. Actually, I understand that feeling. But as the saying goes, the disciple surpasses the master. You should feel proud. Come, open your heart and say something. Son, you are amazing." The entire place was silent. Old Wu lowered his head and pursed his lips. He wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. His face flushed red, and he was really amused by young master. He had never seen young master say such words to old master before. Not only did old Wu want to laugh, but even Zhu Shun and the others were the same. Zhu Shun didn't hold it in and laughed out loud. "Master Lin, young master is right. You should praise me. I am really outstanding." "Father, what are you looking for?" "I will help you find it," Lin Fan asked. Lin Wani looked left and right. "I'm looking for a stick. Where did it go? I remember that it is still there." "Father, I suddenly thought about something. I will leave first." Lin Fan felt that things weren't right and fled right away. Hayes, he didn't expect that such a terrifying father wouldn't be able to face his true self. In the future, a heart demon would form. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.